Chapter 920. To be precise, this kind of primitive forest was an ancient forest. Places like the sky were usually forbidden areas. Otherwise, the sky would be full of birds. How could birds in the sky be so rare? Besides, he saw with his own eyes that the big eagle just now tore a hidden fisher apart with a flap of its wings. If it wasn't necessary, Han Fei wouldn't fly over from the sky. Sure enough, when the ghost speed divine boat had just flown less than 100 kilometers away, a sky-covering shadow swooped down from the clouds. Its speed was comparable to Han Fei's with the agility of wind and the Overlord's technique. How could the ghost speed divine boat surpass it in speed? Woo! As the flute sounded, streams of light overflowed, and ethereal music came from half of the sky. Fist marks shook the sky and rumbled everywhere. When Han Fei and the others arrived 30 kilometers away from them on the Shadow Fierce Cat, they saw that in the sky, the ghost speed divine boat was easily torn apart by the big black bird like a piece of paper. In midair, Chao Tian punched the sky, and the fist marks rumbled, scattering the bird feathers. However, the big bird seemed to have some mental problems and was flying a little unsteadily, which should be caused by Chao Jiaren's flute. Han Fei sneered. "Look, it's coming down." Don't be fooled by Chao Tian's shocking battle prowess and his fearlessness in a foreign world. Who does he think he is? Zhang Xuanyu said, "Ha ha. Doesn't that mean we're the fastest ones?" Lu Renkuang nodded repeatedly. "This is a good way to ride a cat. Other creatures can't catch up with us. We don't even have to fight." Luo Xiaobai said, "Be careful, we are being watched. Underground." They were surprised. Han Fei said, "Underground?" The underground had always been able to shield perception. The power of perception penetration was very strong. Therefore, Han Fei usually didn't like to perceive underground. He usually only perceived what was 2 or 3 meters underground. However, Luo Xiaobai could control spiritual plants, so she should be more authoritative than him in this regard. The Shadow Fierce Cat ran wildly all the way, surrounded by all kinds of fancy spiritual plants, which should be Yui's favorite kind. But the more beautiful the appearance, the more likely it was to hide fear. Instead of being attacked from underground, they were attacked by the mushroom first. Chilla. While they were running wildly, they saw many white flake-shaped objects blocking their way on the ground ahead. Then, everyone saw a white umbrella mushroom. Suddenly, the mushroom changed shape. The mushroom's fungus column suddenly dispersed. When they took a closer look, they were shocked to discover that those were not mushrooms at all. It was a huge spider, a spider that was even bigger than a house. The spider had completely disguised itself as a mushroom and was waiting for its prey. Because they were too similar, it was impossible for him to discover them when his perceptions swept over them. One spider woke up. Spiders all woke up. One after another, the umbrella-shaped mushrooms turned into large spiders. "You can do that?" Sweating all over, Han Fei quickly controlled the Shadow Fierce Cat to pass through the gap next to him. All of a sudden, the 4 of them and the cat entered the spider camp. Puff, 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 all sorts of milky white threads shot out from all directions. Fortunately, the Shadow Fierce Cat was fast enough. Its body was like a black shadow, jumping and moving among the thousands of threads. Of course, Luo Xiaobai also contributed a lot. She controlled vines to emerge, blocking more than half of the spider threads. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, "Look, there's a person." Everyone scanned with their perception and found that on a spider web, a guy was rolled into a ball, with only his head sticking out. His face was pale. Obviously, he had been dead for a long time. Luo Xiaobai said, "It's a disciple of the Sea Cloud Tower. They're quite fast. They've already come here." Puff! A big spider pounced over with its claws raised. The Shadow Fierce Cat flashed from the side and almost brushed past the big guy. A string of information emerged in Han Fei's eyes. Name: Bowfoot Umbrella Spider. Introduction: a kind of camouflage jumping spider. Its abdomen is like an umbrella and its feet are like bows. It can disguise itself as all kinds of harmless mushrooms. It often hides in flowers and catches insects that suck nectar. As long as it is a creature smaller than them, it is within its hunting range. It can jump up to 100 meters at a time, and its feet are like knives. It's afraid of fire and cold. Level 59 quality rare contains spiritual energy greater than 22,208 points. Effect: inedible collectible spider silk, absorbable. At this moment, Han Fei and the others immediately saw that a large number of Bowfoot umbrella spiders jumped up and tried to catch them, who were frantically jumping. Humph! Luo Xiaobai clasped her hands and thousands of vines shot out. However, half of the spider's claws swept across and directly cut those vines into countless pieces. Lu Renkuang's face trembled. "I told you, I hate bugs." Han Fei stretched out his hand, and the infinity water turned into invisible sharp blades and flew over. At the same time, a cloud of spiritual energy came out of his body. Spirit Chi flame burst out in an instant, and the spider silk that was flying over was burned into ashes in an instant. For a moment, a large number of spiders jumped elsewhere. Only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. Han Fei said, "Don't be happy too early. Although they are afraid of fire, my spiritual energy flames are different from real flames. Once my control is weakened, they will pounce on me." Lu Renkuang immediately said, "If only Xia Shaochan were here. She could burn this place with fire." Han Fei thought to himself, as a refiner, "I have always been refining with spiritual fire, but I forgot to learn a real fire refining technique. Otherwise, this spider camp would have been easily passed by." However, fortunately, the scope of this camp was not large, and he had already sensed it. Han Fei shouted in a low voice, "It's not far ahead. I can hold on for a while. Don't attack." But at this moment the ground was shaking slightly. Han Fei immediately shouted, "Not good. Spread your wings and fly to the sky." At this time, Han Fei and the others had to fly to the sky. Because the shadow fierce cat seemed to be unable to resist the thing underground. Buzz! Buzz! The four of them rose into the air at the same time. Covered by spiritual fire, they flew directly to a height of 100 meters. The wind god boat appeared, and Lu Renkuang controlled the wind god boat to fly forward without saying a word. Han Fei also tried to make the shadow fierce cat shadow eyes. After all, this big cat was really not weak. It was fast and responsive. But the ground collapsed, and a large number of fiery red ants larger than a palm gushed out like a spring. The shadow fierce cat controlled by Han Fei only lasted for less than 2 minutes before it was trapped by the triple attack of spiders, spider silk, and flaming ant. First, it was entangled by the spider silk, then the flame spider pounced on it, and then a large group of flaming ants surrounded it. They could even bite big spiders, not to mention the shadow fierce cat. Han Fei wanted to subdue this shadow fierce cat, but there were too many dangers on the ground. The shadow fierce cat's soul was shaken, but it didn't work. Han Fei made a prompt decision and immediately withdrew the void lines. This cat couldn't be saved. Zhang Xuanyu and the others swallowed in shock. Zhang Xuanyu said in shock, "In the blink of an eye, it became a skeleton?" Han Fei nodded slightly. "It smells like army ants. However, it should also have natural enemies. Otherwise, this place would have been eaten up by them. For example, at this moment, the flame spider and the bow-footed umbrella spider were fighting each other again. A large number of small spiders spewed out of the spider's belly. For a moment, red and white met, and no one knew who won and who lost. Anyway, that place was now off-limits to strangers. Luo Xiaobai shouted in a low voice, "Watch out, birds are coming." Han Fei cursed. "Wait a minute, you guys go forward. I'll go meet them first." Zhang Xuanyu said, "No, I'll use momentary time to block them first. As long as we pass the spider camp, we'll land immediately." Lu Renkuang nodded. "I can use the sky swallowing technique to restrain it." Han Fei shook his head. "This one is different from the one we saw just now. Look, it's only 30 meters long. Can I try to take it down? Then we can fly over. Everyone couldn't help but look at Han Fei in a trance. Brother, can you really take anything? The big cat has just died, and now you want to catch a bird? 5 minutes later, Han Fei spread the phantom glass wings and flew directly into the sky. A golden fist shadow blasted at the big bird. However, the figure of the giant bird was too fast. Its body swam to the side in midair and directly dodged the attack. Wow! Amazing reaction speed. When the two were 100 meters apart, they would meet in less than half a second. With a swish, Han Fei disappeared and appeared next to the big bird, casting the void lines. However, the giant bird immediately turned into 3 overlapping shadows and dodged the attack in an extremely beautiful manner. Huh! What a soft dodging technique! Han Fei was touched, and information appeared in his eyes. Name Sky Swimming Falcon. Introduction. One of the fastest birds in the sky, with a trace of the ancient falcon bloodline, inherited the sky swimming technique, extremely rare. Its wing slashes are extremely sharp and can break gold and stones. Its claws are amazing, and a single claw has the power of 3 waves. Only divine weapons can resist it. The sky is its battlefield, but as the king of the sky swimming falcon is not afraid of any enemy of the same realm. Level 61 Quality, Legendary Law Enforcement. Shadow Shift, contains spiritual energy greater than 63,258 points. Edible effect, eating it can enhance blood and speed. Collectible Yu Tianyu. Absorbable, Legendary? Han Fei was shocked. He knew that these birds that dominated the sky must be extremely strong. However, he didn't expect that a random bird that popped up turned out to be a legendary creature. Besides, the void lines he just cast was easily dodged by the other party. Evidently, this fulgurating shadow law was on par with his infinite flicker. This reminded Han Fei of the star-shifting secret technique of Yi Bai's Yu family. He didn't know if there was a connection between the two. At this moment, the sky-swimming falcon attacked again. It wasn't afraid of Han Fei just because he could use the void lines. As the king of the sky, he was not afraid of any creature. Besides, the sky-swimming falcon thought Han Fei was weaker than it. Swish, swish, swish. Flash, flash. A man and a bird flashed in the sky. For a moment, no one could do anything to the other. Han Fei was almost hit by this thing several times. Even if Han Fei wanted to use the law of gravity, he didn't have enough time. He couldn't mobilize his power so quickly. Otherwise, this sky-swimming falcon would definitely be taken down. Hey! No, you can fly in the sky by yourself. Chapter 9:21. The battle between Han Fei and the sky-swimming falcon lasted from the sky above the spider camp to the outside. In fact, Han Fei found that he was no match for her. If he didn't have enough aura to support him, he would have been attacked by the sky-swimming falcon on the way because of the lack of aura. This was the first time that the phantom glass wings had met their match. This caused his heart to tremble. Even legendary creatures would be so powerful after becoming law enforcers. What would happen to Little Gold in the future? However, although Han Fei failed to capture the downstream Sky Falcon, it was a different picture in the eyes of Zhang Xuanyu and the others. Zhang Xuanyu was shocked. Is this the effect of the phantom glass wings? Isn't this a little too exaggerated? Infinitely flickering. Lu Renkuang sighed. I'm so envious now. I wonder how Fei Fei got the Wind God Pearl back then? Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. No, this shouldn't be the full power of the phantom glass wings. Do you still remember the speed Han Fei showed in the Snake Cave? Even faster than now. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang were shocked. Then they looked at each other in bewilderment. This is cheating. After a while, Han Fei dived. After many flashes, he avoided the attacks of the sky-swimming falcon and landed directly where Luo Xiaobai was. The sky-swimming falcon was a little anxious. It was the king of the sky, not the king of the land. It especially did not want to get close to the ground. At an altitude of 50 meters, The falcon stopped chasing and just kept circling in the sky. It seemed to be clamoring, "If you have the guts, come up." After giving it a middle finger, Han Fei ignored it. Luo Xiaobai asked, "How's the consumption?" Han Fei took out a spiritual fruit and stuffed it into his mouth. "Not bad. Now that we don't have a mount, we have to think of a way to catch another one." Lu Renkuang said leisurely, "Are you still going to catch them? Didn't you fail to catch the one in the sky?" Han Fei curled his lips. "Why does this fatty have to touch my sore spot? Since he couldn't catch them in the sky, he would catch the ones on the ground." Han Fei said, "Let's walk for a while first. Just now, when I was in the sky, I seemed to see water in the distance. It should be a big river. If we want to cross the river, there are only two ways, either in the river or in the sky." Zhang Xuanyu's eyes lit up. "It's good that there's water. We can't do it on land, but we can do it in the river." Han Fei chuckled. "Do you think the river here is simple? The sky was extremely dangerous, so how could the river be simple? Even if there's a river, do you think it's not dangerous?" Luo Xiaobai said casually, "Let's go there first. I suspect that it won't be easy to reach the river from here." Han Fei nodded slightly. The creatures on the continent need water. If a great river appeared, there would definitely be many living beings nearby. After all, the saying that water could nourish all living things was not just for show. According to the normal habits of living creatures, they should be close to the river. This was also the reason why those big spiders had laid out an inescapable net here. Because there would be creatures coming to the river. 2 hours later, Han Fei and the others were running wildly. Flying needles were raining down from the sky, and a group of big hedgehogs were chasing them. Lu Renkuang roared with the big shield on his back, "What creature is this? Land urchins?" They were much more ferocious than sea urchins. A thorn is comparable to an ultra-quality spiritual weapon, especially the leader. Especially the one in the lead. My semi-divine shield was pierced by it. Zhang Xuanyu sighed with emotion as he ran. "I know how miserable humans were in ancient times. They might as well stay in the sea. If this thing appeared in the village, in just half a day, there would be no one in the village." Luo Xiaobai's face changed slightly. "These things are not afraid of poison, and vines can't bind them at all." Han Fei sighed. "Okay, anyway, we have to run anyway. Just now, the needle grass forest was full of steel needles. Didn't we come here? A group of land urchins are nothing to us. The problem now is that it's getting late. We have to pay attention to the difference between the day and the night." Yes, there was day and night here, which seemed to be no different from the outside world. At this moment, it was no longer a group of hedgehogs chasing them. Han Fei clearly knew that in the animal world, when night fell, the danger would come. At this time, in the flowers and bushes, there were already countless lights flashing. In addition to showing that the plants here were special, the things that glowed at night were definitely not good things. Light would always attract the attention of creatures. Glowing at night was obviously to lure the enemy to catch them. And at this moment, in everyone's field of vision, everywhere was glowing. This gave Han Fei a bad feeling in his heart. After a while, for some reason, the group of big hedgehogs stopped chasing them. Han Fei and the others stopped, and Han Fei said seriously, "We are probably not far from the river. There is water vapor here." Luo Xiaobai asked, "Did humans live in such a dangerous place in ancient times? No wonder the ancient times were going to collapse." Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang nodded repeatedly in agreement. Han Fei rolled his eyes. "I thought the sea was dangerous. At least, there were many creatures here that he was still very familiar with. On the contrary, he felt a little more comfortable here than in the sea." Suddenly, Han Fei said, "Don't move." Everyone immediately looked at him, expressing their doubts. Han Fei found that there was a large swarm of butterflies in the distance. During the day, he noticed that he hadn't found any butterflies except for bees and the like on his way here. Logically speaking, in such a wonderful world, there should be many butterflies. Or, there was actually a problem with the path he had taken? Or, the pollen transmission here was not through butterflies? However, now he saw it. Tens of millions of butterflies, with their wings folded, stood in a cluster of flowers. Han Fei frowned slightly. How can I pass this place? This area is all blocked by these flowers. Also, what abilities do these butterflies have? Han Fei didn't know. After a while, when Luo Xiaobai perceived the butterflies, she couldn't help but be surprised. Are these butterflies? Han Fei said in surprise. Do you know them? Luo Xiaobai nodded slightly. Yes. They are extremely rare. However, there are still some in the Thousand Star City. However, the butterflies in the Thousand Star City seem to be different from these. Han Fei thought, of course they are different. Those that can live in the city must be low-level and non-offensive. However, now he saw this thing. On the 2 pairs of wings there were 4 eye-like markings. Under the wings there was a long tail, which was black, cyan, and yellow. At first glance, he knew it was poisonous. Han Fei said lightly, "Don't panic. Butterflies usually sleep at night. Look, they haven't moved. They are folding their wings." Lu Renquang asked, "But how can we pass?" Zhang Xuanyu said, "Why don't we fly over? As long as we fly at a low altitude, it shouldn't be a big problem, right?" Han Fei nodded slightly. It shouldn't be a big problem. During the flight, pay attention to the surroundings. Just don't let those creatures hiding on the spiritual plants attack. After a moment, the 4 of them flew in the air, more than 20 meters high, gently flapping their wings, ready to cross the sea of flowers. Just as Han Fei and the others flew halfway, they saw a butterfly suddenly spread its wings in front of them, fluttering and flying up. At that time, the faces of the Luo Xiaobai trio changed slightly, and Han Fei frowned. "Are you a King mutant butterfly? Why are you flying in the middle of the night?" Han Fei shrugged. "Fly a little higher and keep quiet." But that butterfly, perhaps out of curiosity or something, flew towards them. Soon, Han Fei saw the information of this butterfly. Name: Moontail silkworm moth. Introduction: a kind of nocturnal moth that feeds on the pollen of various poisonous flowers and plants. It is extremely poisonous and has extremely weak independent combat power. When attacked, the poisonous powder will shake the air and the illusion eye will be activated. Level 56 quality, rare, contains spiritual energy greater than 15,233 points, edible effect, inedible collectible, moontail poison, absorbable, *CK. Han Fei was a little stunned. He ignored a situation that he should have guessed long ago. He saw a lot of flowers. Only butterflies and bees could spread pollen. Therefore, he didn't associate it with moths at all. It was all because of his empiricism. Where was this? Could the living beings here be judged by their own experience? Han Fei immediately said, "Everyone, close your eyes. Put wisteria leaves in your mouth." Hearing Han Fei's words, everyone immediately understood. Mint leaves were refreshing, indicating that this kind of butterfly had the ability to cause hallucinations. Luo Xiaobai and the other 2 didn't dare to waste a moment and stuffed their mouths with mint leaves without hesitation. Han Fei looked at the big moth, which seemed to want to open the big spotted eye on its wings. Immediately, with a thought in his mind, he instantly attacked. With a slash of his saber, he cut that thing down. Full speed, fly over. Swish, swish, swish. The 4 of them rushed out like a gust of wind. However, when they killed the moontail silkworm moth, a large number of moths began to wake up. There was a strange light on their tails, which was flickering. In a moment they were flying all over the sky. Han Fei shouted, "Open your mind." Han Fei hung a void line on each of them, and at the same time, he flapped the phantom glass wings and a gust of wind blew. At that moment, thousands of moths flew into the sky, and there were illusions everywhere. Han Fei flipped his hand and the law of gravity appeared. He flew all the way, and a large number of moths fell. However, even if Han Fei ate a mouthful of mint leaves, what he saw was still an illusion. Han Fei seemed to see himself when he was a few years old. He saw an ethereal figure, a huge palace, skeleton guards. All kinds of pictures emerged in the sea. Damn it! Sacrificing punch. Boom! The terrifying fist mark rippled out all the way. But the illusion was still there. For some reason, Han Fei saw a pair of eyes, a pair of clear eyes, very big, as if the whole world was that pair of eyes. Puff! Vomiting a mouthful of blood, Han Fei gritted his teeth, and the infinity water enveloped everyone. Luo Xiaobai suddenly pointed her fingers. Flower explosion. Wherever they passed, the sea of flowers exploded and pollen filled the sky. Through the void lines, Han Fei suddenly saw the scene of Lu Renquang sitting alone on a boat eating sea melon seeds, the scene of Zhang Xuanyu lying on the ground being beaten, and Luo Xiaobai sitting on the roof, looking down at a big city expressionlessly. Unfortunately, he didn't hang more void lines, so he could only see very few pictures. Puff! The four of them quickly broke through the sea of flowers. When Han Fei saw a big snake coming at him, information appeared in his eyes, and he chopped it up without hesitation. After more than 10 minutes, they fell to the ground. They passed the sea of flowers. But when Han Fei looked at Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang, his expression was strange. Were they crying? Luo Xiaobai seemed a little depressed. Han Fei took a long breath. Fortunately, these butterflies are not of high levels. Besides, most of them were directly blown apart. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. What did you just see? Chapter 922. After landing, Han Fei ate a spiritual fruit unhurriedly. He stepped on the ground and a stealth array appeared. Han Fei thought, what a pity! It's a pity that the Dark Water Poison Demon Core is not an anti-poison item, but a treasure for poison cultivators. Otherwise, he really wanted to get a few more. However, Han Fei felt that Yi Qingfeng was likely to become a law enforcer here, because there were too many poisons in this damn place. For Yi Qingfeng, it was definitely a great harvest. Luo Xiaobai said, we should be halfway there. The second half may be more dangerous. After discussion, they concluded that it was dangerous at night and not suitable to go out. This was not a matter of time, but the huge difference in the degree of danger during the day and at night. At least, if it was someone else crossing the river at night, there was a high chance of dying. After more than 2 hours, the four of them hid in the darkness, listening to the rustling sounds around them. It seemed that there were all kinds of creatures wandering around. But at this moment, there was a wail from the river. There was a strong roar. The battle was very fierce, but it only lasted less than 10 minutes. Lu Renquang couldn't help but sigh. Someone failed to cross the river. Zhang Xuanyu nodded slightly. If they succeeded, it would be impossible for the battle to only last 10 minutes. This shows that the people crossing the river are not weak, but they can't withstand the dangers in the river. Luo Xiaobai said lightly, they probably don't have enough spiritual energy. If there are more people on the other side, they will definitely organize to cross the river together. This kind of success rate is very high. Han Fei nodded. Yes, there are only 4 of us, so it's not easy to cross the river. But if 10 or 100 people cross the river at the same time, how many of those poisonous frogs and bonefish can they kill? After another hour, there were 3 attempts to cross the river. The longest he had lasted was 30 breaths of time. This was enough to show the strength of the other party. Luo Xiaobai said, 2 hours later, there should be a lot of people gathered on the other side. We have to leave a little earlier. Han Fei shook his head slightly. Don't panic. It wasn't easy for us to come all the way. 2 hours later, at most a small number of people will come. Should we sneak attack them? Luo Xiaobai retorted. No, you have to remember the purpose of this trip. You are not here for revenge. Han Fei was slightly alarmed. He almost forgot the business. Although this river was a natural barrier, Luo Xiaobai was right. He was not here for revenge, but for the sea-quelling painting. Seizing the initiative was very important. Now, they had finally taken the lead with great difficulty. In that case, he should continue to expand this advantage. Han Fei gritted his teeth. Okay. We will depart in 2 hours. Zhang Xuanyu shouted, Fei Fei, should we grab something to ride on? It seems faster than if we walk on our own. Han Fei nodded. Okay. Let's see what's on the way. Before they left, there were 2 more attempts at crossing the river. To their surprise, some of them fought for more than 10 minutes. Looking at the situation, it seemed that they had successfully crossed the river. Han Fei roared, Let's go! Let's go! In this godforsaken place, there were dangers everywhere. After hundreds of battles, they came to a grassland. There were many cotton-like spirit plants growing on the grassland. The huge cotton ball looked like a freshly baked marshmallow. More importantly, these marshmallows didn't have the same color. There were white, red, lavender, light cyan. Dark ones were extremely rare. Han Fei pondered, pulled up a few, and threw them into Forge the Universe. In addition to these, there were also some scattered rocks. It smelled strange, a bit like urine. Lu Renkuang immediately picked up 2 balls of cotton wool, stuffed them into his nose, and buzzed. What's this smell? What kind of creature is this? Why doesn't it pay attention to hygiene at all? Luo Xiaobai also stuffed her nose and frowned, a little disgusted. Han Fei said, Something's wrong. Land creatures often use this behavior to show their territory to the outside world and warn other creatures. And now we seem to have run into the territory of some kind of creature. But no matter what, they had to go in. Han Fei looked up and found a big bird hovering above his head. It was the sky-swimming falcon. This thing was quite vengeful. Yesterday, it fought with Han Fei and didn't win. At this time, it was still in the sky. This extremely proud falcon was just waiting for Han Fei to fly into the sky again and fight it. Luo Xiaobai looked back and said firmly, Let's go in. Since they had to go in, they had to pass through quickly. What kind of movement was that? If they wanted to pass through someone else's territory, no matter how carefully or quickly, it was impossible to pass without making any noise. As long as they were fast enough, they might be able to pass through. Han Fei and the other 3 ran all the way. After a while, Han Fei saw a big pit that had been blown out and couldn't help but be surprised. Did someone come in earlier than the 4 of them? Chao Tian and the others? Or senior brother Dashuai and the others? Or who else could it be? Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai said, Attention! Many of these soft flowers are incomplete. Luo Xiaobai noticed that many of these cotton ball-like spiritual plants seemed to have been gnawed on. Some cotton wool had been dragged out for a long time, and some had darkened in color. Zhang Xuanyu said, Look, there are bones on the ground, bones that I don't recognize. Han Fei glanced over and found that it was a strange-looking skeleton of a land creature. The bones were incomplete, some were covered with teeth marks, and some were directly broken. Han Fei pinched his fingers and felt a slight crisis, but not so obvious. So he said, Okay, don't pay attention to these. Just run over. Ha 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 ha! A panting sound appeared in Han Fei's ears. The panting sound was inexplicably familiar to Han Fei, and the first thought in his mind was, Is it a dog? No, it can't be a dog. Or a creature like a wolf. How can a dog live in this damn place for so long? But if it's a wolf, that thing is a social creature, isn't it? At this time, the sound should still be 300 kilometers away from him. Han Fei immediately shouted, Hurry up, use the majestic mystic spell and run. Hearing Han Fei's shout, Zhang Xuanyu and the others' faces suddenly changed, and they began to run wildly. Just as Han Fei increased his speed, the panting sound in his ears became softer. However, the wind was whistling. Is that thing accelerating? After 10 minutes, within Han Fei's perception range, a wolf appeared. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Is it really a wolf? But why does it look a bit different? This shape, black and white, and its eyes seem to be wearing sunglasses? Why does it look like a dog? And it's a weirdo among dogs, a legend, a husky? Of course, it didn't look like a husky. This dog's eyesight was not good. After 10 minutes, Lu Renkuang ran wildly while yelling, "What kind of creature is this? Why is it so fierce?" Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fei Fei, why don't we go back and kill it?" Luo Xiaobai immediately shouted, "Vine explosion!" Behind them, something suddenly turned into thousands of shadows, like a beast tide or 1,000 horses galloping, rushing towards them. Han Fei had long known that this dog was extraordinary. It was definitely a legendary dog, and it was probably a law enforcer. Otherwise, it was impossible for a dog to occupy such a large territory. Han Fei shouted, "Keep running. I'll deal with it." Luo Xiaobai shouted, "No, let's attack together and finish it quickly." Deep Blue Parasite. Howl. Suddenly, flames and heat waves fell from the sky, and the dog turned into a fire dog. The temperature of its body was so high that spiritual plants didn't dare to approach it. Momentary time. Swish. The long rod suddenly stabbed, and the dog leaped into the air and its body split again, and Zhang Xuanyu's spear missed. Great sky swallowing technique. The dog's soul trembled as it was sucked. Han Fei took the opportunity to flash over with a swish, and the void lines directly clawed at the dog. In his eyes, information emerged. Name Wolf of Playfulness. Introduction: a primordial species with the bloodline of the blue wolf. It is extremely fast, curious, playful, and has an amazing bite force. It is good at the puppet soul technique, and likes to control puppets to play with it. When it is tired of it, it will bite it to death. Level 63 Quality, Legendary Law Enforcer Clone, contains spiritual energy greater than 72,222 points, edible effect, gains strength, but there is a certain chance of mental disorder. Collectible non-absorbable. Han Fei frowned. Wolf of Playfulness? Why do I feel something is wrong? However, Han Fei didn't have time to think about it. This dog is also good at controlling puppets? The moment Han Fei flashed over, he felt that something was wrong and his body was a little stiff. Han Fei said to the dog via voice transmission, "Stay away from me. Eat the wisteria white vanilla leaves." Han Fei's void lines hadn't hung on the dog yet, but he had already been hit. It was obvious how terrifying this wolf of playfulness was. Luo Xiaobai and the others all retreated, and Han Fei was fighting for control of his body. At this moment, Han Fei pulled out his knife with difficulty and was ready to cut the dog. But who knew? The dog stretched out its clone and directly pounced on Han Fei with its 2 claws. Han Fei was speechless. Why did it come to me by itself? Immediately, the void lines wrapped around the dog's body. The dog frowned and its expression was stiff, as if it was constipated. For a moment the two began to control each other. In the eyes of the Luo Xiaobai and the others, Han Fei was pressed to the ground, motionless. The wolf of playfulness pressed Han Fei, motionless. Its long tongue was drooping, and its saliva was dripping on Han Fei's face. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fei Fei, what's wrong?" But then Zhang Xuanyu and the others saw that Han Fei and the dog were bleeding from their 7 orifices at the same time. Luo Xiaobai hurriedly stopped Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang and shouted, "They are fighting with their souls. You have to help Han Fei with your soul." Zhang Xuanyu said, "I'll use soul explosion." Luo Xiaobai said, "No, if you use soul explosion, both Han Fei and this creature will be seriously injured. No one will be able to win." Luo Xiaobai had never seen this kind of creature before, so she was a little stunned. Suddenly, everyone heard Han Fei's voice transmission, "Xiaobai, tickle it. Raise the bridge of its nose and rub between its eyebrows." Luo Xiaobai. The Luo Xiaobai and the others were dumbfounded. "Is that so?" Chapter 923. After landing, Han Fei ate a spiritual fruit unhurriedly. He stepped on the ground and a stealth array appeared. Han Fei thought, "What a pity! It's a pity that the dark water poison demon core is not an anti-poison item, but a treasure for poison cultivators. Otherwise, he really wanted to get a few more. However, Han Fei felt that Yi Qingfeng was likely to become a law enforcer here, because there were too many poisons in this damn place. For Yi Qingfeng, it was definitely a great harvest. Luo Xiaobai said, "We should be halfway there. The second half may be more dangerous." After discussion, the result of their discussion was that it was dangerous at night and not suitable to go out. This was not a matter of time, but the huge difference in the degree of danger between day and night. At least, if it was someone else crossing the river at night, there was a high chance of dying. After more than 2 hours, the four of them hid in the darkness, listening to the rustling sounds around them. It seemed that there were all kinds of creatures wandering around. But at this moment, there was a wail from the river. There was a strong roar. The battle was very fierce, but it only lasted less than 10 minutes. Lu Renquang couldn't help but sigh. Someone failed to cross the river. Zhang Xuanyu nodded slightly. If they succeeded, it would be impossible for the battle to only last 10 minutes. This shows that the people crossing the river are not weak, but they can't withstand the dangers in the river. Luo Xiaobai said lightly, "They probably don't have enough spiritual energy. If there are more people on the other side, they will definitely organize to cross the river together. This kind of success rate is very high." Han Fei nodded. "Yes, there are only 4 of us, so it's not easy to cross the river. But if 10 or 100 people cross the river at the same time, how many of those poisonous frogs and bonefish can they kill?" After another hour, there were 3 attempts to cross the river. The longest he had lasted was 30 breaths of time. This was enough to show the strength of the other party. Luo Xiaobai said, 2 hours later, there should be a lot of people gathered on the other side. We have to leave a little earlier." Han Fei shook his head slightly. "Don't panic. It wasn't easy for us to come all the way. 2 hours later, at most a small number of people will come. Should we sneak attack them?" Luo Xiaobai retorted, "No, you have to remember the purpose of this trip. You are not here for revenge." Han Fei was slightly alarmed. He almost forgot the business. Although this river was a natural barrier, Luo Xiaobai was right. He was not here for revenge, but for the sea-quelling painting. Seizing the initiative was very important. Now, they had finally taken the lead with great difficulty. In that case, he should continue to expand this advantage. Han Fei gritted his teeth. "Okay. We will depart in 2 hours." Zhang Xuanyu shouted, "Fei, should we grab something to ride on? It seems faster than if we walk on our own." Han Fei nodded. "Okay. Let's see what's on the way." Before they left, there were 2 more attempts at crossing the river. To their surprise, some of them fought for more than 10 minutes. Looking at the situation, it seemed that they had successfully crossed the river. Han Fei roared, "Let's go! Let's go!" In this godforsaken place, there were dangers everywhere. After hundreds of battles, they came to a grassland. There were many cotton-like spirit plants growing on the grassland. The huge cotton ball looked like a freshly baked marshmallow. More importantly, these marshmallows didn't have the same color. There were white, red, lavender, light cyan. Dark ones were extremely rare. Han Fei pondered, pulled up a few, and threw them into Forge the Universe. In addition to these, there were also some scattered rocks. It smelled strange, a bit like urine. Lu Renquang immediately picked up 2 balls of cotton wool, stuffed them into his nose, and buzzed. "What's this smell? What kind of creature is this? Why doesn't it pay attention to hygiene at all?" Luo Xiaobai also stuffed her nose and frowned, a little disgusted. Han Fei said, "Something's wrong. Land creatures often use this behavior to show their territory to the outside world and warn other creatures. And now we seem to have run into the territory of some kind of creature." But no matter what, they had to go in. Han Fei looked up and found a big bird hovering above his head. It was the sky-swimming falcon. This thing was quite vengeful. Yesterday, it fought with Han Fei and didn't win. At this time, it was still in the sky. This extremely proud falcon was just waiting for Han Fei to fly into the sky again and fight it. Luo Xiaobai looked back and said firmly, "Let's go in." Since they had to go in, they had to pass through quickly. What kind of movement was that? If they wanted to pass through someone else's territory, no matter how carefully or quickly, it was impossible to pass without making any noise. As long as they were fast enough, they might be able to pass through. Han Fei and the other three ran all the way. After a while, Han Fei saw a big pit that had been blown out and couldn't help but be surprised. Did someone come in earlier than the four of them? Chao Tian and the others? Or senior brother Dashuai and the others? Or who else could it be? Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai said, "Attention! Many of these soft flowers are incomplete." Luo Xiaobai noticed that many of these cotton ball-like spiritual plants seemed to have been gnawed on. Some cotton wool had been dragged out for a long time, and some had darkened in color. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Look, there are bones on the ground, bones that I don't recognize." Han Fei glanced over and found that it was a strange-looking skeleton of a land creature. The bones were incomplete, some were covered with teeth marks, and some were directly broken. Han Fei pinched his fingers and felt a slight crisis, but not so obvious. So he said, "Okay, don't pay attention to these. Just run over." Ha 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 ha! A panting sound appeared in Han Fei's ears. The panting sound was inexplicably familiar to Han Fei, and the first thought in his mind was, is it a dog? No, it can't be a dog. Or a creature like a wolf. How can a dog live in this damn place for so long? But if it's a wolf, that thing is a social creature, isn't it? At this time, the sound should still be 300 kilometers away from him. Han Fei immediately shouted, "Hurry up, use the majestic mystic spell and run." Hearing Han Fei's shout, Zhang Xuanyu and the others' faces suddenly changed, and they began to run wildly. Just as Han Fei increased his speed, the panting sound in his ears became softer. However, the wind was whistling. Is that thing accelerating? After 10 minutes, within Han Fei's perception range, a wolf appeared. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Is it really a wolf? But why doesn't it look like one? This shape, black and white, and its eyes seem to be wearing sunglasses? Why does it look like a dog? And it's a weirdo among dogs, a legend, a husky? Of course, it didn't look like one, but it shouldn't be. This dog's eyesight was not good. After 10 minutes, Lu Renkuang ran wildly while yelling, "What kind of creature is this? Why is it so fierce?" Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fei Fei, why don't we go back and kill it?" Luo Xiaobai immediately shouted, "Vine explosion!" Behind them, something suddenly turned into thousands of shadows, like a beast tide or 1,000 horses galloping, rushing towards them. Han Fei had long known that this dog was extraordinary. It was definitely a legendary dog, and it was probably a law enforcer. Otherwise, it was impossible for a dog to occupy such a large territory. Han Fei shouted, "Keep running. I'll deal with it." Luo Xiaobai shouted, "No, let's attack together and finish it quickly." Deep Blue Parasite. Howl. Suddenly, flames and heat waves fell from the sky, and the dog turned into a fiery dog. Its body temperature was so high that spiritual plants didn't dare to approach it. Momentary time. Swish. The long rod suddenly stabbed, and the dog leaped into the air, and its body split again, and Zhang Xuanyu's spear missed. Great sky swallowing technique. The dog's soul trembled as it was sucked. Han Fei took the opportunity to flash over with a swish, and the void lines directly clawed at the dog. In his eyes, information emerged. Name Wolf of Playfulness. Introduction: a primordial species with the bloodline of the blue wolf. It is extremely fast, curious, playful, and has an amazing bite force. It is good at the puppet soul technique, and likes to control puppets to play with it. When it is tired of it, it will bite it to death. Level 63 Quality, Legendary Law Enforcer Clone, contains spiritual energy greater than 72,222 points, edible effect, gains strength. But there is a certain chance of mental disorder. Collectible non-absorbable Han Fei frowned. Wolf of Playfulness? Why do I feel something is wrong? However, Han Fei didn't have time to think about it. This dog is also good at controlling puppets? The moment Han Fei flashed over, he felt that something was wrong and his body was a little stiff. Han Fei said to the dog via voice transmission, "Stay away from me. Eat the wisteria white vanilla leaves." Han Fei's void lines hadn't hung on this dog yet, but he had already been hit. It was obvious how terrifying this wolf of playfulness was. Luo Xiaobai and the others all retreated, and Han Fei was fighting for control of his body. At this moment, Han Fei pulled out his knife with difficulty and was ready to cut the dog. But who knew? The dog stretched out its clone and directly pounced on Han Fei with its 2 claws. Han Fei was speechless. Why did it come to me by itself? Immediately, the void lines wrapped around the dog's body. The dog frowned and its expression stiffened as if it was constipated. For a moment the two began to control each other. In the eyes of the Luo Xiaobai and the others, Han Fei was pressed to the ground, motionless. The wolf of playfulness pressed Han Fei, motionless. Its long tongue was drooping, and its saliva was dripping on Han Fei's face. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fei Fei, what's wrong?" But then Zhang Xuanyu and the others saw that Han Fei and the dog were bleeding from their 7 orifices at the same time. Luo Xiaobai hurriedly stopped Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang and shouted, "They are fighting with their souls. You have to help Han Fei with your soul." Zhang Xuanyu said, "I'll use soul explosion." Luo Xiaobai said, "No, if you use soul explosion, both Han Fei and this creature will be seriously injured. No one will be able to win." Luo Xiaobai had never seen this kind of creature before, so she was a little stunned. Suddenly, everyone heard Han Fei's voice transmission, "Xiaobai, tickle it. Raise the bridge of its nose and rub between its eyebrows." Luo Xiaobai. The Luo Xiaobai and the others were dumbfounded. Is that so? Chapter 924. Han Fei and the Wolf of Playfulness were still in a stalemate. Luo Xiaobai suddenly had an idea. If Han Fei could spy on other people's privacy, he might be able to spy on this creature too. Immediately, Luo Xiaobai made a bunch of vines and began to tickle the Wolf of Playfulness's armpits and rubbed its forehead with the vines. The frown on the tall and burly Wolf of Playfulness's face turned into a smile, but it was trembling all over. In the end, its body tilted and it fell directly to the ground, its 4 legs kicking the ground. Han Fei felt that the opponent's control was loosened, so he immediately took the opportunity to attack. Making use of this advantage, he reversed the situation and directly controlled this guy. Then, 30 void lines locked onto his divine soul. Phew! It's done. Han Fei sat up with difficulty, took out a spiritual fruit, and stuffed it into his mouth. Now, he had to replenish himself quickly. Who knew what else he would encounter soon? Han Fei couldn't help but kick the Wolf of Playfulness that was still lying on the ground, trembling, and said angrily, "How can a wolf cub control its soul? Son of AB*TCH, luckily I'm better than you. Otherwise I would have screwed up this time." Luo Xiaobai and the other 2 came up, full of confusion. Luo Xiaobai asked, "So, you can spy on others?" Zhang Xuanyu looked strange. "Fei Fei, isn't this too childish? Such a ferocious creature had fallen just like that? Just by tickling it?" Lu Renquang was also speechless. "I can understand tickling, but what's with rubbing its forehead?" Han Fei thought to himself, "How can I explain this to you? Forget it. The more I explain, the messier it will be." He immediately said angrily, "Fine, fine, fine, I saw it from its soul, okay? But let me make it clear first, I don't have the habit of spying on others." With that said, Han Fei glanced at Luo Xiaobai innocently. Luo Xiaobai glared at Han Fei and then looked at the Wolf of Playfulness. "Is it under control?" Han Fei nodded. Yes. You can stop tickling it. After Luo Xiaobai retracted the vines, Han Fei controlled this guy to get up with a grunt. For a moment, Han Fei felt that countless thoughts appeared in his mind. This playful wolf still wanted to continue scratching? Scratch your sister? Who do you think we are? Han Fei said, let's go. Now that we have a mount, let's continue our journey. Luo Xiaobai was in the front, Han Fei was second, Zhang Xuanyu was third, and Lu Renquang was fourth. Han Fei shouted, let's go. There's a smuff on the other side of the mountain. Let's go. Zhang Xuanyu said strangely, Fei, is there any drawback to this soul-controlling spell of yours? As the saying goes, injuring 1,000 enemies, injuring 800. Suddenly, the wolf of playfulness jumped up. Luo Xiaobai bumped into Han Fei's arms, Lu Renquang fell to the ground, and Zhang Xuanyu hung upside down on the wolf's back. They were all dumbfounded. Luo Xiaobai hurriedly sat straight. You should control it properly. Why are you jumping? Lu Renquang rubbed his butt and climbed back to the wolf's back. Fei, don't jump around. Han Fei slapped the wolf's back and snorted. I'm not going to jump. It's this guy who wants to jump. Hold on tight. This guy's soul power is quite strong. It's a bit difficult for me to control it. Although I'm controlling it, don't blame me if it makes some strange movements. After running for half an hour, they rushed out of this cotton field. After leaving the cotton field, the speed of the wolf of playfulness immediately slowed down, as if it didn't want to move forward. Han Fei clamped his legs. I told you to run, so you ran. You are a wolf. Wolves travel thousands of miles to eat meat. You should behave like a wolf, okay? The wolf of playfulness finally ran wildly again. However, as they ran, they found that there were 2 more wolves of playfulness around them. Han Fei said with a black face, Don't look at me. I said that I couldn't control it properly. It's a clone created by this guy. It's bluffing, saying that there are many of itself running wildly, so that other creatures dare not approach. Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help but be surprised. This guy is quite smart. Han Fei said angrily, Smart? That's just bluffing. If it's so smart, how can it be caught by us? Han Fei naturally knew that if he wanted to control others, he would have to choose the weak ones first. Kill the weak ones and then fight the strong ones. This was the right way to fight. Fortunately, this wolf of playfulness pounced on him as soon as it appeared. Otherwise, if it really pounced on Luo Xiaobai and the others, it would be really difficult to deal with. As the saying goes, the wolf was mighty. After running wildly for an hour, not many creatures dared to rush up to attack them. Even if there were, they were easily dealt with by Luo Xiaobai and the others. Half a day later, in a large area of weeds, countless shadows were running wildly. Han Fei roared, Brother Ha, run or you'll die. Lu Renquang exclaimed, What's this thing? How can it run so fast on 2 legs? Luo Xiaobai controlled the weeds to form a net, trying to forcibly stop these creatures. Zhang Xuanyu stood on the back of the wolf, and was tied up by Luo Xiaobai with a vine. He swung the long rod in his hand continuously, using instant mystic light and instant time, poking a big hole in this huge grass from time to time. Han Fei was stunned. What the hell is this world? Is that a dinosaur? It looks a bit like one. But it doesn't seem to be. Because they have scales on their bodies, spikes on their joints, and their heads are not like dinosaur heads, but more like some kind of beast heads. It's just that it's not within my scope of cognition. Besides, if this thing was a dinosaur, then there was definitely more than one dinosaur here. There should be a lot of dinosaurs flying in the sky, swimming in the water, herbivores and carnivores. Buzz. Buzz. Era was so scared that he created dozens of clones, as if a F***king army was passing through. Suddenly, Han Fei perceived that the Chao Tian trio appeared within his perception range. Han Fei's eyes immediately lit up. Chao Chio, don't blame me this time. We are now competitors. Your brother and sister are so powerful. I can only give you some greeting gift. More than 100 kilometers away, the three siblings of the Chow family were standing on a big crab, running all the way. Chow Chio was releasing poison, and Chow Jiaran was playing the flute, her voice sobbing. Chow Tian was wearing a divine armor and his fists were raging. Chow Chio said in a panic, "What kind of creatures are these? Why were they all monsters in ancient times? We can't go to the sky, we can't drill into the ground, and there are all kinds of things on the ground." Chow Tian smiled innocently. "It's okay. After crossing the mountain, we should be able to see that city." Chow Chio pouted and said, "Even if we find that city, so what? There are many strong masters, and there are only the three of us." Chow Tian smiled and said, "Enough." Suddenly, Chow Tian's expression changed slightly. He looked into the depths and said lightly, "Someone is coming. It's Han Fei." Chow Chio said in surprise, "Han Fei?" Chow Jiaran's eyes flashed, and she waved her hand, and the sound wave was like a knife, sweeping in the direction Chow Tian was looking at. After a while, under Chow Chio's shocked gaze, the four of them were riding a strange creature, running wildly. Suddenly, Chow Chio wailed, "There is a group behind them." Luo Xiaobai said, "Chow Jiaran is not simple. Don't get too close to her." Han Fei chuckled. "I didn't plan to get close to her. I just want to run faster than the enemy." When they were still 4 or 5 kilometers away from Chow Tian and the others, Han Fei controlled the husky to pass the crab with a swoosh. Chow Jiaran still wanted to create an illusion with music. However, Han Fei and the others all had peppermint leaves in their mouth. The scenery in front of them flashed by, leaving them behind as if they were flying. And those little dinosaurs were a bit difficult to catch up with Han Fei and the others. Seeing that there were still 3 of them, they immediately gave up. Han Fei shouted, "Chow Chio! What a coincidence! You guys run slowly. We'll go first." Chow Chio. Half an hour later, Han Fei and the others finally saw an extremely tall mountain. The mountain towered into the clouds, surrounded by birds, and there were 6 waterfalls as far as the eye could see. Crossing the grass, Han Fei was surprised to find that there was a swamp ahead. In his perception, a crocodile creature with its mouth wide open was resting and basking in the sun, and there was more than one crocodile like that. Han Fei immediately shouted, "Go to the sky!" Whoosh! They flew into the sky, and Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise, "The bird in the sky is still chasing us." Han Fei gritted his teeth. "We have to go up. We can't cross the swamp, and the cliff is more dangerous. Are you going to climb over the bird's nest?" At the moment when they flew into the sky, Han Fei said in his heart, "Collect." In the astonished eyes of Luo Xiaobai and the others, the husky disappeared into thin air? Han Fei didn't explain too much and just said, "Its soul has been destroyed and I've collected it. Okay, help me go up to the sky and fight with that damn bird again." The sky-swimming falcon was a tough character. It wouldn't give up on its target. Especially a very threatening one like Han Fei, it was full of fighting desire. In fact, Han Fei also wanted to fight. However, this thing was really not easy to catch. At the very least, if he wasn't prepared for a lose-lose situation, it would be hard to catch him. Seeing that Han Fei and the others flew up again, the sky-swimming falcon circled excitedly and rushed at them. Han Fei took a breath. If he didn't use the agility of wind, he wouldn't be able to catch this thing. As soon as the Overlord's technique and the agility of wind were activated, the sky-swimming falcon was startled. Swish, swish, swish. Flash, flash. Luo Xiaobai and the others wanted to help, but they couldn't keep up with their speed at all. Not only that, because of the battle in the sky, other big birds flew over and hovered around, seeming to want to join in. However, Luo Xiaobai and the others didn't fly high and were close to the swamp. Those big birds didn't want to come down. As for the battle with Han Fei and the sky-swimming falcon, it was even more difficult. The two flashed back and forth, and neither of them was easy to catch. 10 minutes, 100 minutes, half an hour, the aerial pursuit was very fierce. Han Fei and the sky-swimming falcon hunted each other and flew around. Chao Tian and the others were late. At this moment, Chao Tian was covered in blood. Seeing the scene in the sky, he couldn't help but be slightly surprised. Chao Qiu sighed. Is this the real power of the phantom glass wings? Looking at Han Fei flashing back and forth in the sky, Chao Qiu couldn't help sighing. Chapter 925. Han Fei had long known that Chao Tian and the others had come, but he had no time to be distracted. The sky-swimming falcon's shifting ability was indeed amazing. The void lines could not reach it. Although Han Fei had the speed advantage now, every time he almost caught it, this guy would simply move away. Just now, he brought a group of little dinosaurs to Chao Tian and the others. At this moment, Han Fei didn't believe that Chao Tian and the others would do nothing. However, while flashing in the sky, Han Fei roared, "Chao Tian, think carefully before you attack. Otherwise, I bet you won't be able to cross this mountain." The Luo Xiaobai trio approached, and flowers bloomed around them. Han Fei was fighting in the air, and couldn't be disturbed at this time. Chao Qiu quickly said, I don't think we should fight." Chao Juran said casually, "Shut up." Chao Juran glanced at Han Fei in the sky. She was restrained and couldn't make a move. Luo Xiaobai was strong, but he could resist her. As for Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu, Chao Tian was enough to defeat them. The question now was, why did Han Fei go to the sky to fight the eagle? The power of the giant bird in the sky was obvious to all of them. Moreover, there was more than one sky-swimming falcon. Is Han Fei catching contractual spiritual beasts? Or should he help the three of them catch contractual spiritual beasts? That's not right either. The cost-performance ratio of capturing this contractual spiritual beast was not high. Although it was fast and powerful, it overlapped with the wind sky wings after all. Besides, most of the outside world were not aerial battles. Han Fei must have other purposes. Besides, hidden fishers all had wings. Of course, it was definitely not as fast as the sky-swimming falcon. Han Fei's phantom glass wings had been activated to such an extent, but he still couldn't catch this sky-swimming falcon. He should be a legendary. Thinking of the way Han Fei controlled Air Ha to run, Han Fei must be trying to control this bird. Chao Juran said to Chao Tian and Chao Qiu via voice transmission, "I'm not sure why Han Fei wants to catch that bird. I suspect that they just want to catch that bird to take them over this mountain." Therefore, Han Fei had a way to control creatures. If we attack now, he can give up on this bird and fight us first. If we don't make a move and he catches the bird, he will directly fly over and gain the upper hand. No matter what, we can't let him catch this bird. After that, Chao Juran said, "Fight." Chao Tian grunted. Suddenly, his aura rose, and his body was covered with a layer of dazzling golden light. Chao Qiu exclaimed, "Sister, aren't we taking advantage of him?" Chao Juran grabbed the flute and played it, completely ignoring Chao Qiu. As soon as Juran Chao played her flute, Luo Xiaobai and the other two stuffed peppermint leaves into their mouth. Luo Xiaobai said, "I'll deal with Chao Juran. Chao Tiangui, you too." In the sky, Han Fei was anxious. Son of a bitch, people with high IQs are really annoying. He could even analyze something like this. Of course, he heard Chao Juran's voice transmission, but he was determined to get this falcon. Below. Luo Xiaobai pointed at the void. Grand Spirit Summoning Technique. Chao Juran said in a low voice, earth-shaking demonic sound. Zhang Xuanyu set up a soul barrier to protect Lu Renquang. The latter's body shone with orange light. Violent War Body. With the majestic mystic spell, Lu Renquang's combat power was second only to Han Fei. As soon as his armor was activated, all the semi-divine weapons came out. Lu Renquang held two knives in his hands and shouted, "Four-pole thunder rushing knife." Thunder rumbled, and Lu Renquang stepped on the ground with 1 foot, shaking the earth and mountains. In the swamp 100 kilometers away, a big crocodile closed its mouth and slowly crawled to the edge of the swamp. Moo! In the depths of the swamp, the sound of cows echoed, which shocked Han Fei. There are cows? A terrifying knife wave slashed straight at Chao Tian. The latter jumped down from the crab and punched out. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of fists shook at the same time, and the level 4 thunder-rushing knife was smashed in an instant. However, Lu Renkuang smiled coldly and squatted on the ground. The divine turtle has a shield, infinite defense. Momentary time. Zhang Xuanyu took the opportunity to break the void with his rod. Before Chao Tian could dodge, Zhang Xuanyu's rod hit Chao Tian's chest. Rumble! The terrifying air wave directly bent the grass for dozens of kilometers. Bam! Chao Tian took 3 steps back, and Lu Renkuang moved back hundreds of meters with his shield before stopping. Zhang Xuanyu was directly shaken into the sky by the huge force. On the other side, the demonic sound was mighty, and white flowers bloomed, dyeing the sky pink. The vines rose violently, and the melody was like a knife, and a big octopus appeared. All the plants and trees swarmed towards Chao Jiaran endlessly. The latter was expressionless and flew into the air, ready to fight Luo Xiaobai in the sky. Luo Xiaobai was equally cold. Come down. The cage of plants covered the sky, and man-eating flowers bloomed one after another like spring after the rain. In the sky, Han Fei's eyes narrowed. Luo Xiaobai was no problem, but Lu Renkuang and Zhang Xuanyu were no match for Chao Tian. It was not a problem of combat power, but of physique. Han Fei glanced at the falcon. Humph! You just want to catch me, right? Come on, catch me. At that moment, Han Fei deliberately made a mistake and didn't dodge in time, so he was directly caught by the terrifying claw marks of the falcon. The feather suit of wind was directly scratched through, and the eagle's claws entered his body. But suddenly, the falcon was surprised to find that its claws couldn't be pulled out. Suddenly, tentacles appeared on Han Fei's body, and a sucker buckled the eagle's claws. Buckle! Blood flowed from the corner of Han Fei's mouth, ignoring the other sharp claw of the falcon, and 10 void lines directly buckled the soul of the sky-swimming falcon. One blow to decide the outcome. Han Fei was seriously injured and the falcon was enslaved. Puff! Spurting out a few mouthfuls of blood, Han Fei jumped down from the air and applied the divine healing technique on himself. The claw just now had broken 6 of Han Fei's ribs and his internal organs. For Han Fei, this was a serious injury. However, at this time, the sky-swimming falcon had been controlled. It swooped down from high and directly grabbed Chao Jiaran. Because the sky-swimming falcon was controlled, it didn't matter to Han Fei at all. After tearing Chao Jiaran apart, the outcome of the battle was decided in an instant. However, Chao Tian's face changed slightly. When he was about to punch, Lu Renkuang shouted, "Armor crisscrossing!" Momentary time. Chao Chiu's face turned pale at this moment. He wasn't worried about Chao Tian, but Han Fei couldn't be judged by ordinary means. Cloud dolphin! Chao Chiu shouted and a big fish swam across the sky. Of course, Han Fei knew about the cloud dolphin. It had 10 times the defense, which was no joke. The cloud dolphin's talent attribute was already so strong. This blow from the sky-swimming falcon might not be able to kill it. However, Han Fei didn't panic and shouted in a low voice, "Sacrificing," the terrifying fist mark crushed all the way. Everywhere it passed, the grass and trees were all turned to dust. Great Dragon Fist. The same terrifying fist mark burst out from Chao Tian and hit the sacrificing punch. And Chao Tian directly resisted the attacks of Lu Renkuang and Zhang Xuanyu with his body. However, Han Fei just sneered and rushed to Chao Jiaran. With a flip of his hand, the law of gravity blasted down. In an instant, a protective jade appeared around Chao Jiaran's body. However, because of the irregular gravity, it was impossible for her to continue playing the flute. The magic sound disappeared and the vines rolled wildly. Rumble! 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 There were 3 explosions. One was the collision of the sacrificing punch and the great dragon fist, one was the full blow of Lu Renkuang and Zhang Xuanyu, and Chao Jiaren's ultra-quality divine weapon? Han Fei saw a seal forcibly shatter the law of gravity. However, Chao Jiaren vomited blood and barely supported her body. She fell beside Chao Qiu and retreated to Chao Tian. In this battle, both sides were injured. Chao Tian's mouth was bleeding, but not much. He just looked at Han Fei indifferently. Next time you can try. Han Fei curled his lips. Loser. In theory, Chao Tian's physique should not be as strong as his. But this was not certain. After all, the Chao family had a high status in the Thousand-Star City. Among the top families in the Thousand-Star City, the Chao family should have a top powerhouse. If there was only one Chao Wudi, Han Fei would never believe it. If the Chao family had a peak-level explorer or even a venerable, then it was very likely that they had an advanced body-refining technique. After all, the indestructible body was only a venerable-level technique. It was just that Ren Tianfei was special and created it himself. Relatively speaking, it might have pulled the body-refining technique to a very high level. The only thing Han Fei was surprised about was, where did Chao Tian get such a huge amount of energy to support such a crazy battle? But at this moment, the two sides really couldn't continue. At least, Han Fei's energy was now empty and he was seriously injured. If he forced himself to fight, he might be able to kill one of them, but it was not necessary. Besides, this time, Han Fei and the others didn't choose to attack Chao Qiu. It was precisely because of this relationship that the two sides didn't kill each other. And the purpose of Chao Tian and the others was just to prevent Han Fei from catching the sky-swimming falcon. As for killing them, even they themselves knew that this was basically impossible. After a while, the two sides separated. Luo Xiaobai walked to Han Fei's side. "How are your injuries?" Han Fei cast the divine healing technique on himself again, shook his body, and reconnected his bones. Then he said, "It may take a while to recover, but it's not a big problem." While speaking, Han Fei had already stuffed 3 spiritual fruits into his mouth. "Let's go, hover in the sky for a while, and then fly over." Chapter 926. The 4 of them rode the sky-swimming falcon and flew for about half an hour before they all recovered. Lu Renkuang shouted, "Fei Fei, I found that Chao Tian's physique is comparable to yours." Zhang Xuanyu nodded solemnly. "For the first time, I found that my attack couldn't even break his defense." Han Fei sneered. "That's because your physique is not good enough. Do you know that you have to strengthen your body as soon as possible when you go back this time?" Zhang Xuanyu muttered, "In fact, relatively speaking, my physique is already very strong among people in the same realm. It's just, alas, forget it." Luo Xiaobai said, "Chao Jiaren and Chao Tian must have ultra-quality divine weapons. Chao Jiaren just used it in the case of multiple attacks. We have to be careful about this." Han Fei sneered. "Forget about them. Let's go over first." When Han Fei controlled the sky-swimming falcon, he found out how strong this guy's talent ability was, Shadow Shift. This guy actually had a premonition of crisis. When it was about to be hurt, it only needed to instinctively react with the airflow and teleport itself. Han Fei didn't control the sky-swimming falcon to fly very high, but first used Shadow Shift in the air. As soon as he did this, Han Fei found that his understanding of Shadow Shift was actually still weak. Damn, this guy didn't react with the airflow at all, but directly moved himself to another space. Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help but exclaim, "Fei Fei, if this big bird becomes a contractual spiritual beast, it will be almost invincible in aerial combat." Han Fei sneered. "How can it be so simple? No matter how I move, the battle is always a battle of physical contact. Otherwise, how can I have the chance to catch it?" Zhang Xuanyu clicked his tongue and said, "That's also very powerful." Lu Renkuang nodded. "Yes. Finally, we don't have to run on the ground." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "I didn't ask you to run. Haven't you been sitting all the time? Luo Xiaobai said lightly, since this shadow shift ability is also useful to us, let's just fly over there. I just hope that we don't encounter a creature stronger than this big bird. Otherwise, this mountain is indeed not easy to pass. Han Fei nodded and controlled the sky-swimming falcon to advance towards the mountain like a sharp arrow. However, it did not fly very high. This was because he discovered that there were several large birds circling high up in the sky, and he could also see a black dot. Besides, Han Fei also wanted to see what was in the swamp. In less than 100 seconds, Han Fei discovered that Chao Tian and the other two were fighting in the swamp. Their fists whistled, the swamp cracked, and a crocodile was thrown dozens of kilometers away by Chao Tian's tail. Han Fei deliberately controlled the sky-swimming falcon to stop, and then laughed. "Oh, what a coincidence, what a coincidence! He has great strength and energy. Walk slowly. We won't wait for you." Lu Renquang shouted, "Hey! So comfortable." Zhang Xuanyu chuckled and said, "Beauty, would you like to come up and have a seat?" Chao Jiren looked up at the sky and the corners of her mouth twitched. She really couldn't figure out what happened to Han Fei. Just now, he clearly did not use any special means, so how did he control all the birds in the sky? Chao Chiu wailed, "Alas! Don't go. Help me catch one, I'll exchange it with you." Han Fei sneered. "Do you think I'm stupid? Just hang around with your brother and sister." Han Fei and the other three broke through the air and flew directly into the depths of the swamp. Along the way, they could see crocodiles, pythons, swamp spiders, and other creatures lying in the swamp. It was not until half an hour later that Han Fei finally saw the buffalo. Han Fei was a little dumbfounded to see the pure buffalo. Could a buffalo be so powerful? After all, the place where they fought just now was not close to here. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei in surprise and said, "Is it the sculpture engraved with runes that you bought in the Pearl Diver City?" Zhang Xuanyu sighed. "It turns out that there really is such a creature. This time I've learned something new." Lu Renquang said, "This thing must be very powerful, right? Otherwise, why would it be made into a sculpture and engraved with mysterious runes?" Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei and said, "Have you cracked the mysterious runes?" Han Fei immediately lied. "Of course not. It was obvious that they were not words. Maybe I can find a way to crack them in the underground city this time." Han Fei didn't study the buffalo, nor did he care if there were any opportunities in this swamp. Anyway, the biggest opportunity would not be here. The sky-swimming falcon soared up. When it was 1,000 meters in the sky, a big bird flew over. Han Fei sneered. "We are all birds. If you can fly, so can we. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Swish, swish. Streams of light streaked across the sky. Han Fei shouted, "Hold on tight, I'm going to increase the altitude." Whoop! As the saying goes, soaring to the sky for 90,000 miles, the sky-swimming falcon was not that powerful. Facing the mountain ahead, when it was still more than 100 kilometers away, it had already soared 8,000 meters and pierced through several clouds. Behind them, a flock of big birds was chasing them. They might be targeting Han Fei and the others, or they might just be joining in the fun. But at this moment, Han Fei and the others didn't have time to care about this because they found that the mountain was more than 10,000 meters high. Zhang Xuanyu sighed. "Do you think this underground city is really under the Scattered Stars Island?" Han Fei scolded. "Is there something wrong with your head? Is there a sky underground? Is there a sun, moon, and stars? This is a mysterious island that I don't know where it is." Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "Han Fei, there is a flock of birds." Han Fei had already discovered a flock of reddish-brown birds, tens of meters in size, with a red crown on their heads. A flock of hundreds of them was flying over here. What Han Fei didn't say was that on the cliff 100 kilometers away, a large number of birds were flapping their wings. However, they didn't pay attention to them. These big red birds should also be coming for them. But all of a sudden, Han Fei was a little sad. These relatively small birds were nothing at all, because in the sky behind them, 100 kilometers away, 100-meter-long eagle was whistling over. F*ck, why is this bird flying so high? Luo Xiaobai asked, what's wrong? Han Fei explained, we are being targeted by a 100-meter-long bird. We have to quickly jump into the sky and cross this mountain. Ho ho ho! The wind howled wildly in their ears. Han Fei and the other three, clasped on the sky swimming falcon, almost rushed straight into the sky, which was very exciting. However, because of this, the giant eagle caught up with them for nearly 30 kilometers. Han Fei shouted, let's go! The last time Han Fei saw such a big creature was the ancient-sounding snake. He didn't want to be targeted by a bird of that level. After all, they were not in the sea now, and there was no poison god. Fortunately, the distance of 100 kilometers was not far. It only took them a few minutes to arrive. After a while, when Luo Xiaobai and the others all sensed the giant eagle flying over, they had just reached the top of the mountain. Then, everyone was stunned. They found that among the peaks of the mountains, there was a huge, pure, clear pond. In the center of the pond, there was a blooming lotus flower. In the center of the lotus flower, there was only one beautiful lotus flower, which was very distinct from the other lotus flowers. Above the water, Jiang Qin was fighting. Yes, Jiang Qin was the only one on the entire pond. Han Fei felt that they were already fast enough. However, Jiang Qin was the fastest. She had already rushed up to fight. The creature fighting with Jiang Qin was a flood dragon. It was different from the one Han Fei knew before. This time, it seemed to be a real one. The dragon was more than 300 meters long, with green scales on its back, 4 horns on its head, 2 big and 1 small, and 4 claws. From its body to its tail, there were fins like lace, fluttering like clothes. Jiang Qin was holding a red knife in her hand. She was covered in blood and seemed to be seriously injured. Luo Xiaobai and the others were shocked. Senior sister? Senior sister Jiang, why is she alone? Han Fei glanced at the giant eagle behind him, gritted his teeth, and flew to the surface of the pond. He was not going to help Jiang Qin, but to grab that lotus flower. Jiang Qin asked, Sister Qin, why are you fighting with a dragon? Jiang Qin was seriously injured. Seeing the big dragon turn its attention to Han Fei, she quickly stuffed a pill into her mouth and then said, Attention, this is a 1,000-year-old flood dragon, a level 68 creature. Han Fei and the others gasped. What the F*ck are we? We even dare to fight with a peak-level advanced law enforcer? Jiang Qin said, This is the Heaven Heart Lotus, which can not only break through barriers but also improve one's soul. It's a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity, we must succeed. As soon as Han Fei heard this, he jumped off the sky swimming falcon, activated the Overlord's technique, and rushed to the lotus flower. How could the big green flood dragon let Han Fei rob it of what it was protecting? Immediately, its tail turned into a 100-meter-long dragon tail and whipped at Han Fei. Hey, do you think I'm scared? His figure flickered wildly, and at the same time, he said to the giant eagle behind him, Brother Bird, let's work together to kill this dragon. The dragon body is yours, and the lotus flower is mine. In Han Fei's view, the eagle and the snake were natural enemies. The giant bird wasn't a fool, and it didn't have anyone to help it. It wanted to eat the snake's gallbladder, but that was wishful thinking. Ho! The dragon roared for thousands of miles. The big green flood dragon rushed into the water and was less than 10 miles away from Han Fei. F*ck. So fast? Bam! Han Fei felt his soul shake and the dragon tail whipped at him. His face turned green immediately. 9 Mansions Dragon Seal. Law of Gravity. The dragon's tail moved, but it still touched Han Fei. Han Fei rolled on the water like a dart and was thrown out more than 1,000 meters by the dragon's tail. Puff! Han Fei vomited blood and swallowed. Sister Qin, I can't beat it. Jiang Qin said, give me spiritual energy. Han Fei stretched out his hand and poured spiritual energy into it. However, at this time the big eagle in the sky came. Han Fei shouted, come down, all of you. Luo Xiaobai and the other two left the sky-swimming falcon. Immediately, the giant eagle flapped its wings and a gust of wind raged. Han Fei, the sky-swimming falcon, Jiang Qin, the giant eagle, and the flood dragon surrounded it. Han Fei said helplessly, Sister Qin, when did I become a supreme law enforcer? Jiang Qin took a breath. It's a pity that I almost stole it. Is this bird with us? Han Fei nodded. Jiang Qin was speechless. No wonder it was so obedient. Now it was a tripartite confrontation. Han Fei's team was also a force. Although it didn't seem powerful in the eyes of the Azure Flood Dragon and the Giant Eagle, the sky-swimming falcon was considered a big shot here. Chapter 9:27. Han Fei cast several divine, healing techniques on himself and Jiang Qin. Luo Xiaobai's voice transmission was rejected by both Han Fei and Jiang Qin. What a joke! What level was Luo Xiaobai at now? No one would have a problem with a peak-level hidden fisher participating in the battle. He was only at the intermediate level, and he could still fight the flood dragon? However, at this moment, the three of them were not in danger. At least now, whether it was the giant eagle or the green dragon, they all had scruples and didn't have the time to pay attention to other small fries. Han Fei said to the giant eagle, Brother Bird, what do you think of my proposal? The dragon belongs to you and the lotus belongs to us? It's not too much, is it? At this moment, clear information emerged in Han Fei's eyes. Name Swimming Green Flood Dragon Introduction. A green snake that transformed into a flood dragon. It often absorbed the essence of heaven and earth, comprehended the heavenly Tao, and obtained a trace of the dragon's soul inheritance. Its strength was boundless and could reach 20 waves. Its claws were sharp enough to tear apart divine weapons. Its armor was as tough as a low-grade divine weapon. When the dragon roared, one's divine soul would tremble, and the weak would find it hard to bear. Level 68 Equality, Legendary Law Enforcement, Dragon Soul Shock, Spiritual Energy greater than 63,258 points. Effect: Super nutritious. Good for everything. Collectible: Dragon Scales, Dragon Tendons, Dragon Horns, Dragon Bile, Dragon Balls, Dragon Teeth, Dragon Blood. Absorbable. Seeing the information of this green wandering flood dragon, Han Fei couldn't calm down anymore. Its body was comparable to a low-quality divine weapon. Apart from Snowmorn, what else could he use to stab this guy? As for the giant eagle, Han Fei also had a headache. Name Sky Survey Golden Eagle Introduction. This is one of the fastest birds of prey in the sky. It likes to fly toward the sun and grows up in the fire, so it is immune to fire. It could control the heavenly fire to burn, and the flames spread in all directions. They hated water and did not like rivers, lakes, and seas. The defensive strength of the feather blades was comparable to a low-grade divine weapon. He was proficient in Eagle Strike Rainbow and Heavenly Flame Flowing Cloud. Level 66, Quality, Legendary Law Enforcement. Skyfire, Spiritual Energy greater than 63,258 points. Effect: Super nutritious. Good for everything. Collectible: Feather, Sharp Beak, Sky Ripping Claw, Flame Feather, Demon Core, Golden Pearl. Absorbable. Look, at this level, both of their physiques were comparable to low-grade divine weapons. He only had a low-grade divine armament battle armor. No matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to withstand a few blows from the other party. Not to mention these two, even the sky-swimming falcon could not withstand the feather cloak of wind. However, compared to these two, the sky-swimming falcon was still a child. Even if the sky was overturned, the sky-swimming falcon was only a level 61 legendary creature. Its quality was good enough, but its level was too low. Sister Qin, what should we do? Big birds hate water, it's best to let them fight first. Jiang Qin frowned. If they wanted to fight, they would have done it long ago. We haven't fought for so many years. If we don't make a move, these two won't fight. Han Fei glanced at the sky-swimming falcon. He couldn't let it go first, could he? I'm still waiting to go to the city and take the sky-swimming falcon. Besides, the sky-swimming falcon was only 30 meters long. After all, it was not a giant eagle. It could not be compared with the golden eagle. It was like a baby. Let it peck at the dragon? He was courting death. Daddy, Daddy. While Han Fei was hesitating, he suddenly heard a voice in his head. Who the hell is calling me? I'm only 18. Wait a minute. Han Fei quickly glanced at Forge the Universe and suddenly found that Little Black and Little White had been promoted successfully. Han Fei was overjoyed. My son and daughter are back. God is helping me. Immediately, Han Fei summoned Little Black, but he didn't let Little White come out. Even if Little Black and Little White were promoted successfully, they would only be level 50. Compared with these two big bosses in front of him, they were almost 20 levels lower. It was impossible to fight them head-on. However, Little Black could steal things. Han Fei and Jiang Qin's purpose was to rob the Heaven Heart Lotus. As for these two, unless they were both seriously injured, it was impossible to kill them. The ancient-sounding snake was only level 66, the same level as the sky-surveying golden eagle. Han Fei had fed it 40 caddies of Poison King, but it was still fine. It chased after his buttocks and howled. This time, even if there was a poison god, he wouldn't be able to defeat it. Han Fei said, Sister Qin, find a way to take them away. I'll rob the lotus. Let's meet under the city. Jiang Qin frowned. No, you're too weak. Even ordinary peak-level law enforcers may not be able to resist their real combat power. Gulp. Han Fei swallowed, looked at the sky-surveying golden eagle that was flapping its wings, and said in a low voice, Sister Qin, the bigger the noise, the better. The golden eagle is not a fool. It will cooperate. I'll steal the lotus during the battle. Jiang Qin looked back at Luo Xiaobai and the others. Retreat, retreat to the other side of the mountain. The infinity water came out, shaking and causing waves of water. This was a show for the golden eagle. Thousands of knives rolled like a long dragon, cutting through the water and surging towards the green wandering dragon. The dragon roared and Han Fei quickly stuffed peppermint leaves into his mouth. Kill. Seeing a scarlet word condensed in front of Jiang Qin, Han Fei couldn't help but be stunned. If Han Fei remembered correctly, this was the kill symbol that Chu Linyuan said, right? But hadn't Jiang Qin recultivated? Why was the kill symbol still there? Jiang Qin didn't have time to explain, because she had already chosen to kill the green wandering dragon, so she had to make her position clear first. Chirp, the sky-surveying golden eagle looked at Han Fei and then at the sky-swimming falcon. Han Fei cursed in his heart, you're a level 66 creature, but you let a level 61 creature fight in the front? Don't you feel embarrassed? However, what could Han Fei do? Let's go. Swish. The sky-swimming falcon shot out, and the thousands of knives swept out like a dragon, and the kill symbol was full of killing intent. At this time, the sky-surveying golden eagle launched a fierce attack. The eagle soared into the sky and clawed at the green dragon with its claws. Hoo! The dragon roared and Han Fei bled from his 7 orifices, and his head hurt. Even Jiang Qin was bleeding from the corner of her mouth. In the distance, the Luo Xiaobai trio, who were flying to the other side of the mountain, staggered at the same time. Each of them vomited a mouthful of blood and didn't dare to look back. Ah! I'll fight, I'll fight! Look at my heavenly bird meteor fist! Jiang Qin, Luo Xiaobai and the others. The invincible fist seal didn't stop, and the fist seals all over the sky smashed at the green dragon like missiles. However, the green dragon's tail swept across and didn't even break the scales on the green dragon's body. However, it was not completely useless. Many scales were dented into the flesh of the green dragon by Han Fei. Besides, the water surface was blasted open, and Little Black took this opportunity to swim to the Heaven Heart Lotus. The dragon's shadow rushed out of its body and went straight to the thousands of knives transformed by the infinity water, rushing all the way to Han Fei. Swish! Han Fei disappeared, and the sky-swimming falcon took the opportunity to claw with one claw, directly shredding dozens of scales of the green dragon, and tore off a piece of flesh with both claws. The green dragon's body shook, and the sky-swimming falcon tumbled and flew out. As for the strike of the sky-surveying golden eagle, it was forcibly blocked by the green dragon's claws. However, the kill symbol was really powerful. It crushed dozens of scales along the way and directly tore a large piece of flesh off the dragon's tail. It was a large piece in Han Fei's eyes, but compared to the huge body of the green dragon, was a wound of 5 or 6 meters big. It was just a drizzle. Suddenly Han Fei was shocked. Above the sky, a huge dragon tail was slapping down. F***ck. Flash, flash, Han Fei and the sky-swimming falcon were like two small chickens. Anyway, they were good at footwork, so they just harassed the green dragon from the side. From time to time, Han Fei pricked the wound of the green dragon with the infinity water. Several times, the green dragon almost killed Han Fei first. If he hadn't run so fast, he would have been smashed into a meat pie. Jiang Qin was injured again, and Little Black had already run under the lotus leaf. However, a natural treasure like the Heaven Heart Lotus was protected by a spiritual barrier. It was not impossible to split the spiritual barrier. If he slashed it with Snowmorn with all his strength, it would be broken in one blow. Han Fei deliberately flashed to the side with his back to the Heaven Heart Lotus, biting a spiritual fruit in his mouth, punching the green dragon, and attacking in the collapsing mountains and tsunamis. Huff! The dragon tail shadow lashed at him, and Han Fei used the same method to exert the law of gravity. But this time, with the force of the collision, Han Fei's figure flashed wildly and moved 1,000 meters in the blink of an eye. In his hand, Snowmorn slashed at the Heaven Heart Lotus. In an instant, the green dragon was furious and swung its tail at him. Bam! Han Fei flew out and was caught by the sky-swimming falcon. Fortunately, the sky-surveying golden eagle was fighting with the green dragon. The shockwaves from the two attacks tore through the void, causing feathers and scales to scatter. Han Fei immediately shouted, "Sister Qin, come up and let's go." Jiang Qin was slightly taken aback when she saw Han Fei appear beside her. She immediately looked at the Heaven Heart Lotus, only to see a splash and the Heaven Heart Lotus was gone. "Come back!" The green dragon was furious. It thought it would be fine after slapping Han Fei away with its tail. But how could it expect that? Han Fei's slash was to break the spiritual barrier. What it didn't expect was that there was nothing there, so why did the Heaven Heart Lotus disappear? But a large piece of flesh and blood was torn by the sky-surveying golden eagle, so the green dragon couldn't chase it immediately. In such a situation, once it was distracted, it would be easy for the damn bird to succeed. The unwilling roar of the dragon echoed for thousands of miles. But Han Fei didn't care. The sky-swimming falcon sped to the extreme and caught up with the Luo Xiaobai trio in only 10 minutes. Han Fei shouted, "Come on, run!" After a while, the green dragon flew across the sky, breaking through the clouds, and chased after them. The sky-surveying golden eagle didn't attack but launched a provocative attack from time to time. Obviously, it was extremely dissatisfied with Han Fei's early escape. At this moment, on the back of the bird, Han Fei vomited several mouthfuls of blood. He used the divine healing technique and stuffed spiritual fruits, energy fruits, and spirit fruits into his mouth. Cough, cough. Sister Qin, let's grab something else next time. This is a legendary creature. Jiang Qin frowned and looked at Han Fei. I know your physique. You'll be full of vigor after resting for half an hour at most. But where is the Heaven Heart Lotus? Han Fei opened his hand. Here it is. Jiang Qin said with a black face, the Heaven Heart Lotus has 18 lotus seeds. Why are there only 9 left? Really? Did you lose it in the fight just now? Jiang Qin said grumpily, it's best to use it for alchemy. When I go back, I'll refine the Heaven Heart pill for Grandpa. It's better than taking it directly. Forget it, I'll leave half of it with you, in case we die and the Heaven Heart Lotus will be in vain. Lu Renquang said leisurely, I think it doesn't matter who has it. But if we don't run faster, we will really die. Lu Renquang pointed behind him. More than 50 kilometers away, the dragon and the bird soared into the sky and flew side by side, obviously chasing after them. Chapter 928. Han Fei wasn't surprised at all that the green wandering dragon and the sky survey golden eagle chased after them. The Heaven Heart Lotus was stolen and the other one was fooled by him. How could they not be angry? However, Han Fei didn't panic and said lightly, after crossing this mountain, we'll go down to the other side. There are many creatures here. Don't worry about them catching up. After a while, when the two chased for about 30 kilometers, Han Fei and the others suddenly flew out of the mountains. The result was beyond everyone's expectations. They thought that this side of the mountain would be a place of vegetation and jungle, but it turned out to be a wilderness plain, like a grassland, with not many trees. The first thing they saw was the earth, which was like a painter's palette. Many colors, one after another, were connected together. When Han Fei scanned with his perception, he found that there were many jars on the ground or in the forest of various colors. Some were lying on the grass, some were half out of the ground, and some were tilted to the sky. Everything looked very weird. Jiang Qin said, I didn't expect the legendary bone jar plane to really exist. Han Fei and the others were surprised. What plane? Jiang Qin glanced back and saw that the two sides were still far away, so she explained, I don't know the details. However, when humans found the scattered stars island and landed on the island, they found a bone jar plane. It is said that it is used to commemorate and bury those who died in the war. These bone jars are where they are buried. Han Fei said in surprise, a graveyard? Lu Renquang shivered. Will there be undead creatures? Jiang Qin nodded slightly. You guessed right. Because they are all cultivators who died, they are not mortals. Therefore, after they die, a large number of ownerless souls will dissipate. Some strong bone jars will unconsciously absorb ownerless souls with bones as the foundation, and eventually become undead creatures. Luo Xiaobai asked simply, will they have consciousness before they died? Jiang Qin shook her head. No, not only do they not have consciousness, but they are also not heroic souls. Heroic souls and so on are mostly for protection. But these people in the bone jar plane have long died, and have nothing to protect. After becoming undead creatures, they will become very fierce. It is said that during the Battle of the Scattered Stars Island, 6 law enforcers died in the bone jar plane. Han Fei shrieked, they can't come out during the day, can they? Forget it. Let's fly down first and see if those two dare to come after us. Jiang Qin was a little worried. What I'm worried about now is not the flood dragon and the giant bird behind us, but how can we get back to where we came from? Zhang Xuanyu said, is there another exit for that underground city? Jiang Qin shook her head. I don't know. Maybe not. The seal of this place was not simple. Perhaps it was set up by a super powerhouse in order to guard this world and prevent those powerhouses from barging in. So, if there is no other exit, we can only go back the way we came. Han Fei said leisurely, well, I want to ask, will the teleportation array work? Suddenly, Jiang Qin and the others all looked at Han Fei. What do you mean? Han Fei said, it's the teleportation array that Junior Uncle Faceless has. I know a little, but I haven't tried. If you give me some time, I might be able to send it back. Zhang Xuanyu strangled Han Fei's neck and said angrily, if you're so capable, why are we still running and flying? Isn't it better to send it directly to the dungeon? Han Fei shook his neck and said, "What are you talking about? How can we send it to a place we haven't been to? Without a direction, we can only send it. God knows where it will go." Han Fei suddenly thought of the Shadow Fierce cat's nest. If he went back, he could use it as an accurate location. But he didn't know if he had this ability. "Forget it, I'd better get rid of these two and try short-distance teleportation first." The sky-swimming falcon rushed to the bone jar plane, and Han Fei asked, "Sister Qin, it's daytime. There's something in the jar. Will it come out?" Jiang Qin shook her head. "I don't know. But it's better not to come out. As long as it can scare the green flood dragon and the giant bird." Han Fei snorted. "If it can scare those two, I'm afraid we can't escape." However, having said that, Han Fei still rushed over without hesitation. He swooped all the way to an altitude of 100 meters before returning to normal and flying all the way forward. On this strange plane, there were very few creatures. Even if there were, they didn't seem powerful. This once again proved the terror of this area. Han Fei turned around and shouted, "Brother Bird, you can't blame us. We can't beat this big snake. Why don't you go back first?" However, the golden condor said, "I'll have a share of the heavenly materials and earthly treasures." Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. Can this bird talk? Jiang Qin's face changed slightly. Damn it, many legendary creatures can talk. Then that green flood dragon? Then they heard the green flood dragon roar, "I'm going to kill you." Everyone. Han Fei immediately responded, "Brother Bird, I can give you what you want. But even if I give it to you, this big flood dragon won't let us go. Then why should I give it to you? If you kill it, I'll give you half of the lotus." The golden condor responded directly, "Then it's more convenient to kill you." Zhang Xuanyu immediately shouted, "Sister Bird, let's talk about it. We can help you kill it next time." Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Listen to that voice. It must be a female." Han Fei rolled his eyes at him. "Then why don't you seduce her with your face?" Lu Renquang scoffed. "Stop it. What should we do?" Han Fei thought for a moment and said, "Their speed is not much faster than ours. They are all legendary creatures. But their levels are higher. What can we do? Let's run." The clouds in the sky were broken, and the air waves left traces. 3 white lines left long traces in the air. After half an hour, the distance between the two sides was only more than 10 kilometers. The green flood dragon roared, and everyone's soul was shaken. Han Fei's spiritual energy was constantly pouring into the sky-swimming falcon. Back and forth, they had passed thousands of kilometers. Han Fei turned around and sneered. "You're good. Big Snake, if you can't kill me this time, I'll definitely kill you next time. Stinky Bird, you're the same. Don't think you're so great just because you can fly in the sky. Aren't you the law enforcement heavenly fire? Come on, throw one down and have a try." The Sky Survey Golden Condor was a little surprised. "How do you know?" Han Fei sneered. "I know a lot. Big Flood Dragon, where the hell did you get a trace of dragon soul? This little power is not enough to kill us. Why don't you give it a try?" The green flood dragon was stunned. How did he know that it had a trace of dragon soul? Jiang Qin and the others also looked at Han Fei in surprise. "How could you tell what method it was using?" Han Fei said, "I've already shown it. Why can't I tell?" Then Han Fei controlled the sky-swimming falcon to communicate with its soul. "Your soul is only temporarily controlled by me. It's a life-and-death crisis. Either you speed up the burning blood, and then I'll let you go. You know, my speed is not slower than yours, and I don't have fewer means than you. There's no place for you as a contractual spiritual beast. Make a decision quickly, or I'll let you die first." Han Fei had tried to control the sky-swimming falcon, but it had to cooperate with its bloodline potential. Han Fei asked again, "Is there a city ahead? As long as we get there, I'll let you go. Otherwise, you can choose not to burn your blood then." As soon as Han Fei said this, The sky-swimming falcon suddenly accelerated and its speed soared by more than 30%. Luo Xiaobai said in surprise, "How can it accelerate?" Lu Renquang exclaimed, "Does this bird know it's going to die? So, it's trying its best." Jiang Qin was also taken aback, but she immediately shouted, "Since it can accelerate, pull it up quickly." Han Fei smiled and said, "It's not dangerous yet." Suddenly, Han Fei felt that a jar on the bone jar plane began to tremble slightly. Immediately, Han Fei asked, "Sister Qin, will we be safe when we get to the underground city?" Chirp. Behind him, the golden condor said, "You can't run away. The sky-swimming falcon can't hold on for long." Han Fei responded, "I don't need to hold on for long. Follow us into the city." After another half an hour, Han Fei and the others vaguely saw a giant city flying more than 500 meters away. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, "A floating island?" Including Jiang Qin and Han Fei, everyone was dumbfounded. How could there be a floating island here? Suddenly, Jiang Qin shouted, "No, the floating island can't be so small. For it to be called a city, how could it be so small? It's not even as big as the Heavenly Water Village." Luo Xiaobai and Han Fei said at the same time, "This entire space is a floating island." Han Fei immediately said, "The forests, grasslands, rivers, mountains, and bone jar plain that we have passed. These are actually all on the floating island. However, for some reason, this place has fallen, leaving only a little floating in the air." Buzz. Buzz, dozens of kilometers away, the azure dragon roared, "You're courting death." Han Fei responded, "It's none of your business. Come in if you have the guts." On this remaining floating island, everyone saw a tangible barrier, like a blue light, covering this place. The falcon glided around the floating island. After a while, Han Fei and the others' eyes lit up. They saw an archway gate with 4 words written on it, "Sky City." Jiang Qin shouted, "There is a square full of cracks. Let's rush over." The falcon sprinted, but with a thud, it crashed into the ground. Han Fei and the others flew up and fell on the platform. And the falcon couldn't get in at all. It was blocked by the barrier. Seeing the azure dragon and the golden condor approaching, Han Fei's face changed slightly. Chapter 929. Han Fei didn't feel guilty about taking the sky-swimming falcon. After all, he was almost scratched to death by its claws. If it were someone else who wasn't wearing the feather coat of wind, even if he didn't die, he would have lost most of his life. In such a dangerous place, it was very troublesome to survive. The sky-swimming falcon suddenly disappeared, and Zhang Xuanyu and the others looked at Han Fei strangely. It died again? They still remembered that this was how the wolf of playfulness died. Now, the sky-swimming falcon was also gone, which surprised them. How many tricks did Han Fei have that they didn't know? As for Jiang Qin, she was just slightly surprised and didn't pay too much attention to it. The green dragon and golden eagle also wanted to come in. After all, Han Fei and the others were there now, and they wanted to have a try. However, as soon as the two rushed 10 kilometers away, a shocking knife light slashed the void. Han Fei and the others quickly raised their heads and looked at the archway, only to see a dried-up corpse that had been standing here for some time. This corpse was burning with soul power, the soul fire in his eyes was jumping, and there was a sharp blade in his hand. Trespassers die. The might of this saber shattered space. The blood of the azure wandering flood dragon and the sky surveying golden eagle sprayed into the air, severely injured. At that moment the two fled quickly. He ran all the way, bleeding all the way. Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded and their blood froze. Just one slash. How strong was this person? Luo Xiaobai glanced at Han Fei. It's him. Han Fei nodded slightly. Isn't this the expert I met in the tunnel of corpses? To be precise, this person was a corpse. All of his power came from his terrifying divine soul. It seemed that the soul of the entire tunnel had been extracted by him. At this moment, the corpse looked at Han Fei. It's very dangerous here. Han Fei cupped his hands and said, Senior, have you recovered? The corpse shook his head stiffly. Once you enter the city, you are responsible for your own life. Han Fei asked in surprise, Senior, may I ask, where is the boneyard? The man's eyes were burning. Here it is. Han Fei immediately took a breath. This is it? The city in the sky was the burial ground? Jiang Qin looked at him. Do you know each other? Han Fei nodded. I met this senior on the ancient battlefield. Jiang Qin said leisurely. It turns out that the sea token is not needed to enter the boneyard. With that, Jiang Qin suddenly took out a sea token and threw it to Han Fei. Take it. Han Fei. Jiang Qin said, if you don't need a sea token to enter the boneyard, then the sea token is simply related to the sea quelling painting. So, I'll give it to you, but you'll be in more danger. I trust you. Han Fei asked in astonishment, Sister Qin, you have one too? Jiang Qin said lightly, not only me, but many people do. Chu Linyuan and Wang Dashuai each had one. Unfortunately, he was separated from them. But it doesn't matter. Since we don't need the sea token to enter the city, the sea token is meaningless to us. Don't worry about the others. You just need to remember one thing. You must get the sea quelling painting. Han Fei opened his mouth and asked, me? Jiang Qin nodded. Yes, just you. In the entire Thug Academy, you're the only one who has this opportunity. Han Fei asked in astonishment, why? Jiang Qin shook her head. Because of luck. Only those with great luck have a chance. Otherwise, if I try to snatch the sea token by force, I will probably die. Luck. Han Fei couldn't help but look surprised. He recalled what old Han had said about his luck. Was it because of this that he could be bet on? Han Fei immediately said, doesn't it mean that the other people who have the sea token also have it because of luck? Jiang Qin nodded. Yes. For example, the luck of the Chao family is not with Chao Tian or Chao Jiren, but with Chao Qiu. Yu Qiu of the Empyrean Waterfall is very lucky. Many children of the big clans in the Thousand Star City had their luck forcibly changed by strong masters because of this. But you are different. You are born with great luck. This is what Grandpa said. Han Fei took a deep breath. Damn it, at this point, it's all luck that matters when it comes to snatching the map? That's ridiculous. Zhang Xuanyu patted Han Fei on the shoulder and said, Fei, although I don't understand, you are indeed very lucky. Lu Renquang nodded repeatedly. I can see it from the wind god pearl. Luo Xiaobai looked at Jiang Qin. Senior sister, will others die if they try to snatch the sea token by force? Jiang Qin nodded slightly. 90%. Luo Xiaobai nodded and said, then what can we do in the boneyard? Or is there anything I can do to help? Jiang Qin thought for a while. I don't think we can help. 4 people with great luck, they are here to snatch the sea quelling painting. 4 others, they are here to look for opportunities. Although you can't get the sea quelling painting, since you can enter the Sky City, you will at least have some opportunities. But what are these opportunities? No one knows. It may be very dangerous and you may die. This is the road to the strong. All the way to the strong is a sea of blood. Lu Renquang sighed. It's better not to take it. We can just look for opportunities normally. Jiang Qin looked into the distance. At present, we should be the earliest batch. Before she finished speaking, she heard the corpse on the stairs say, Do you want to go in? Someone has already entered. Jiang Qin's face changed slightly. Someone is faster than them? Han Fei immediately thought of something. Senior, is it a very fast young man in white? The strong man nodded slightly. Yes. Luo Xiaobai said, Yi Baiyu? Han Fei nodded. Except for him, I can't think of a second person who can get here so quickly. Jiang Qin frowned slightly. Let's go into the city. Han Fei and the others took a breath. They had to go into the city. Yi Baiyu had already gone in. Han Fei and the others couldn't delay any longer. In any case, the sea-quelling painting might be related to who could become a king. The Thug Academy was fighting for it, Old Han was fighting for it, and the entire Thousand-Star City was fighting for it. He had no reason not to fight for it. Since Old Han and the Thug Academy had bet on him, he had to fight for it. Besides, others didn't even have a chance to fight for it. Immediately, Han Fei took a breath. "Let's go in." Han Fei raised his head and glanced at the strong man. He didn't know why this person appeared here. Why did he guard this city? God knows what secrets were hidden in it. Anyway, he didn't care. The barrier was like a clear wave, and Han Fei took the lead and stepped into it. The scene in front of him changed one by one. From the outside, this was a normal city. But when he came in, he saw corpses everywhere and the houses were in ruins. There was only one way. At the end of the road, there was a 10,000-step staircase reaching the sky. At the top, there seemed to be a temple. Han Fei couldn't help saying, "Sister Qin, there is only one way. It seems to be very difficult. We have to climb the stairs again." Suddenly, Han Fei looked back and found that Jiang Qin and the others were gone. There was only him here, and there was no one else. Jiang Qin, Luo Xiaobai, Zhang Xuanyu, and Lu Renquang were all missing. Han Fei's pupils constricted. They came in with him. Is this the so-called, each has his own chance? He came here to fight for the sea-quelling painting. But they had other chances? So, they came in and each had their own chance? Climbing the stairs. This was not the first time. Han Fei tried to perceive and found that his perception disappeared. He tried again and summoned Little Black and Little White. This time, there was no problem. The two little guys were still there. He hadn't seen any changes in Little Black and Little White from the Heaven Lake until now. While no one was around, he decided to take a look. Then Han Fei frowned. In his eyes, information emerged. Spiritual beast. Name twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish. Introduction. This is a descendant of the mysterious ancient yin-yang sky-swallowing fish. The black and white fish are born together. The white fish is docile, while the black fish is cruel. They are symbiotic. As long as one of them survives, the other won't die. Level 50 quality, mysterious, stored spiritual energy greater than 10 million points, food omnivorous, can swallow everything, combat skills, supreme yin-yang wheel, spirit swallowing body, fusion. Remarks. The blackfish is invisible. Except for the owner, only the yin-yang divine eyes born by heaven and earth can see through it. Contains soul energy greater than 2,602 points. Han Fei was a little dumbfounded. There was a body fusion combat technique. Huh? Can't they be fused? Why is there such a thing? Is there a big difference between the two? Dad, Little White was like a fish elf, and the scales on his body were shining. He kissed Han Fei's cheek affectionately. Han Fei couldn't help but smile. My good daughter, you can finally speak. No wonder you are a mysterious creature. Little Black, say something. Little Black landed on Han Fei's left shoulder, looking a little lazy, and said in a stiff voice, Dad. Dad, ha ha ha. Good son, you did a good job just now. Han Fei was surprised, but now was not the time to talk. Han Fei couldn't help asking, Daughter, do you know what will happen after fusion? Little White shook his head. Han Fei looked at Little Black, who was also shaking his head, indicating that he didn't know. Han Fei didn't care. Anyway, it should be a powerful ability. However, he wasn't going to try it here. He could probably guess what it would be like. Fusion was the possession of Little Black and Little White, and he would have some of their abilities. In that case, fusion, as the name suggested, should be a deeper level of fusion. Either he would gain a lot of power or, after fusion, he would become something else. It might be a fish, or it might be another species. In any case, it should be of great benefit to him. Quack, quack, quack. Suddenly, there was a cracking sound. Han Fei frowned, glanced around, and found that the bones on the ground were trembling, and some were gathering. Hiss! Impossible! Chapter 930. On the road, all the corpses were gathering. In the distance, the corpses were shaking, and some corpses were slowly climbing up. Han Fei immediately put away Little Black and Little White, crossed the corpses, and ran towards the steps ahead. It doesn't make sense. Can these bones climb the steps? The road was only more than 20 kilometers long, but as Han Fei stepped out, the bones connected faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, there were already hundreds of skeletons in front of him. Han Fei wasn't afraid and punched out with a golden fist mark. The hundreds of skeletons shattered again in an instant. Huh! You can't even take a hit. How dare you block my way with such little strength? Han Fei was amused. If this was called the boneyard, it would be really embarrassing. Therefore, Han Fei judged that the real danger was definitely not these skeletons. He didn't even need to use the art of invincibility. These skeletons couldn't stop him. However, this idea only existed for a few seconds, because at the forefront, tens of thousands of skeletons were gathering, and a massive number of skeletons gradually turned into a huge skeleton creature. The part above the chest was already more than 20 meters tall when it was just pieced together. In its eyes, a large blue soul fire was gathering. Haha! I knew it wouldn't be so simple. A dignified boneyard, if there isn't considerable danger, why would it be called a boneyard? The big skeleton didn't even have the lower half of its body, but it dragged its big hand and rushed towards Han Fei. The big hand slapped, and thousands of bones followed. What's the point of cultivating if you're big? Boom! The art of invincibility blasted out. In the skeleton storm, Han Fei punched everywhere, like a bright sun, piercing the dark clouds, bringing light to the world. In midair, broken bones splashed everywhere like a tide. The huge skeleton was smashed into pieces by Han Fei. However, there were endless skeletons here, and it seemed that there was no end to them. The strength of this big man was slowly increasing. Just now, it was still the strength of a junior hidden fisher, but now it had reached the advanced level, and was rising every second. I'm not playing with you anymore. If you have guts, climb the stairs with me. As soon as the phantom glass wings opened, Han Fei flew in the air with a swish. But at this moment the scene was changing. The skeletal remains were like the wind, converging into a roll. A huge bone storm blocked in front of Han Fei. There was only one way out. Han Fei had to rush forward no matter what. Overlord technique. In front of the art of invincibility, nothing was impossible. If he really couldn't beat them, that would be another matter. As long as he could fight, Han Fei would never back down. Han Fei charged into the storm, absorbing the wind power with the phantom glass wings and blasting holes one after another in the storm with the art of invincibility. Han Fei felt a stabbing pain in his head, as if his soul was attacking him. An ownerless soul dares to deliver itself to us? This is exactly what I'm lacking. Han Fei separated 3 balls of soul fire and surrounded himself, shouting, "Soul gather!" Immediately, a large amount of chaotic divine souls directly rushed to the 3 balls of soul fire. In an instant it grew several times larger. In the perception of Han Fei's soul, all kinds of messy pictures popped up. Almost in an instant, Han Fei seemed to have experienced the lives of many people, which almost made him lost. Damn, are these ownerless souls so impure? However, at this moment, the demon purification pot shook slightly, and a large amount of impurities were removed, making Han Fei feel much better. Han Fei was stunned. How could this work? He was wondering how Yi Baiyu could survive these ownerless souls. Could it be the legendary soul-type artifact that could protect one's soul? The ownerless souls were pulled by the 3 balls of soul fire and turned into a small soul fire storm. Han Fei took the opportunity to blast through the bone storm, ran out and ran all the way. Behind him, the 3 balls of soul fire followed, pulling 3 long ribbons of ownerless souls, following him. F***CK, isn't this a joke? I haven't climbed the steps yet, and I've already encountered such a thing? How can I climb the steps? Han Fei hooked his fire soul with the void lines. He quickly ran to the steps, and then he found that, on the first step, there was a person sitting. No, to be precise, a corpse sitting. The bone storm behind him stopped chasing, and the ownerless souls also calmed down. The demon purification pot shook slightly, slowly removing the impurities in the 3 balls of soul fire. Han Fei picked up an energy fruit, stuffed it into his mouth, and looked at the corpse. What are you doing sitting here? Blocking the way? However, what made Han Fei a little depressed was that the person sitting on the first step didn't seem right. And looking at him, he seemed a little familiar. He was different from the corpses he had seen before. This person was not dry, but seemed to have lost his soul, and his face was a little yellow. Besides, why did the clothes on this person feel particularly modern? Although it was not the style of standard clothes, it was a bit common. Wow! Is it the person who came last time? Han Fei naturally knew that the sea-quelling painting only appeared 300 years ago. Someone must have sent it in since it could enter this underground city. Then, naturally, someone would come to find it. This was probably one of the people who came to find the person in the painting. At this time, the skeleton could no longer catch up, as if it was just a test. The demon purification pot filtered these ownerless souls, and was taken back by Han Fei without hesitation. At this time, Han Fei saw that everything was calm and the skeleton didn't seem to be resurrected at any time. So he thought about it and decided to fuse the 4th contractual spiritual beast. This time, the people he caught were all legendary warriors. The 5 legendary creatures were the ghost eel, the tree lobster, the dark water poisonous frog, the wolf of greed, and the sky swimming falcon. If he fused them, it wouldn't be a legendary creature, right? Fuse. After waiting for a while, Han Fei found that the demon purification pot didn't move at all. Huh? It shouldn't be. Could it be that I can't fuse more than 3? If I can't fuse them, why can I keep them? Fuse. Still no response. Han Fei frowned. If I can't fuse them, why should I catch these things? If I had known this, I would have chopped them all up. There would be a lot of materials. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. At this moment, Han Fei saw the vine leaves of the demon purification pot move. However, they stopped immediately. Wait a minute, continue to fuse. Han Fei found that the vine leaves moved again. Han Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. Could it be related to the vine leaves? Now there were only 2 vines in the demon purification pot, and he had 3 contractual spiritual beasts. Could it be that this limited the number of contractual spiritual beasts? Han Fei thought for a while. There was still a vine on the leafless tree. When he got that vine in the future, could he fuse it into a new contractual spiritual beast? Because he couldn't fuse them, he couldn't make a breakthrough. After a series of battles, his strength had completely exceeded 7 million kilograms. It was even increasing towards 8 million kilograms, but it was still not enough. It could only mean that he had broken through too fast before. Suddenly, he soared by 5 minor levels and crossed a small realm. Now, the after-effects came and he needed time to digest them. Han Fei held the blood-drinking knife in his hand and slowly walked towards the skeleton. At the same time, he looked up at the steps and didn't find Yi Baiyu's figure. He was very puzzled. When Han Fei was 10 meters away from this person, Han Fei's eyes suddenly shrank. He quickly rubbed his eyes. Seriously? This is Ren Tianfen? Han Fei's eyes almost popped out. The last time he saw Ren Tianfen, he looked like a sloppy ghost. But now, the one he saw had a resolute face, sat upright, and put his hands on his knees casually, but it felt completely different. He looked very mighty. Han Fei's eyes narrowed. Is Ren Tianfen dead? Han Fei wasn't sure. At least the last time he saw Ren Tianfen, there were only 2 drops of essence blood. But this didn't mean that this old guy was still alive, right? Old Ren. Old B** starred. Ren Tianfen didn't respond, sitting here like a statue. Han Fei stepped forward and stopped in front of Ren Tianfen. seeing that there was still no response. So Han Fei stretched out a finger and poked him. However, he found that this guy's body was as hard as a stone, not moving at all. Han Fei blinked. You don't even have a weapon or a battlesuit on you. Old guy, are you a fake? Han Fei calculated the time. Logically speaking, Ren Tianfen had only made 99 sea tokens. This sea-quelling painting was thrown here more than 30 years ago, wasn't it? But what if old Han was wrong and the sea-quelling painting was here more than 300 years ago? Or did Ren Tianfen also participate in that war more than 30 years ago? After looking at it for a long time, Han Fei became bolder. He sat next to Ren Tianfen and put a hand on his shoulder. Don't die. The painting you left me is still here. At least you can be my scapegoat. When I go to the Zhang family in the Thousand-Star City to rob something, you can stand aside. Oh, do you think the Zhang family will dare to refuse me? Han Fei nagged for a while. Seeing that Ren Tianfen's body didn't respond at all, he said leisurely, Fine. Just don't die. Forget it, it doesn't matter if I die or not. I can still cultivate the third level of the indestructible body. Maybe there are still the fourth, fifth, and sixth levels. By then, I'll carry it forward for you. Wouldn't that be great? It's so hard that it's obviously a fake. Then I'll take it. Han Fei suddenly became much more confident. With Ren Tianfen guarding here, as the heir of the indestructible body, wouldn't he get this thing for sure? At least, the most qualified one should be him, right? After that, Han Fei suddenly got up, ignored the corpse, and stepped onto the stairs. However, as soon as he stepped on the stairs, Han Fei disappeared. And Ren Tianfen, who hadn't moved at all, moved one of his fingers slightly. Chapter 931. Han Fei looked around blankly. Am I not F***king climbing the stairs? Why did they change places with just a stomp? Based on his previous experience, Han Fei was afraid that he would go back to hundreds of years in the past with a swish. He didn't want to experience what happened in the heavenly desolate city. It would be fine if it was a normal place, but why did he come to this damn place? Wasn't this the Bone Jar Plain? Jiang Qingang said that when the Scattered Stars Island discovered this damn place, 6 law enforcers died. Why did he come here? Han Fei released his perception and found that it was still useless. He looked up. Above the sky, the clouds were rolling and unfolding, as if everything was real. Wow. Is this a test? Han Fei frowned. He wasn't sure if this Bone Jar Plain was the one he had just flown over. If it was that damn place, this was the only way to go to the Sky City. Would he be discovered by others? Of course, the passers-by were not the most important. Facing those people, Han Fei was confident that even if he couldn't kill them, they shouldn't be able to kill him either. At the moment, the most dangerous things were those big jars. Those big jars had a single mouth, like a large vat. Some of them were lying on the ground alone, while others were piled up together in groups. Who knew what was in them? Since I'm here, let's have a look. The law enforcers are not omnipotent. Besides, I also have the power of the law of gravity. I shouldn't be any worse than them. After giving himself a pep talk, Han Fei strode towards a jar that had fallen to the ground. Coming to the mouth of the jar, Han Fei found that there was a corpse curled up in the jar. Judging from the body shape, it should be a child, so it shouldn't be dangerous. That's impossible. If this is not dangerous, where does the danger come from? Han Fei counted with his fingers and immediately shivered. Is there danger in all directions? Han Fei turned around, but there was nothing except those jars. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. His body twisted into an arc in an abnormal posture, and a black shadow swept past his side. Han Fei backed off with one foot and roared, "Little fatty, attach!" At that moment, he had a 360-degree field of vision. There was a corpse standing on the jar that Han Fei was facing. If it wasn't the corpse of that child, then what could it be? His. Han Fei gasped, because he saw corpses crawling out of the jars one after another and standing on top of them. As far as the eye could see, there were corpses everywhere. F***ck. Is this the real bone jar plane? Voila! The phantom glass wings spread. Han Fei didn't move, nor did the corpses. However, in his field of vision, among all the jars, he discovered that there was a corpse in the distance that was looking at him. He looked like a real person. However, that person did not move. He just stood there quietly and looked at her. What are you looking at? Han Fei roared. What? Do you want to attack together? Is there anyone who can say something? Han Fei saw that the body of the child, which was only 5 or 6 meters away from him, had already charged at him. Not only this child, but other corpses also rushed over. There were adults, children, old people, men and women. Han Fei smashed the child with a punch and his eyes turned cold. Do you really want to attack me together? Han Fei's punch just now seemed to have hit a piece of steel. The opponent was very strong, but it didn't matter. He didn't feel very strong, not even a junior hidden fisher. Bam! 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 Han Fei punched in all directions, one by one. As soon as they came, they were sent flying by Han Fei. The pure force of more than 7 million kilograms was enough for Han Fei to crush ordinary advanced hidden fishers head-on, not to mention that Han Fei's fists were now imbued with invincible power. Boom, boom, boom. Han Fei didn't use the invincible fist seal. But every punch he threw was already invincible. He found that everyone was moving. But the person who was looking at him didn't move. So Han Fei punched all the way in the direction of that person. At the same time, Han Fei tried to capture them with the void lines. However, he found that these people had no soul at all and couldn't be captured at all. Strange, it's really just a group of corpses. Half an hour later, Han Fei's body was full of killing intent, which was accumulated from fighting. He had destroyed no less than 3,000 corpses. Among them, the strongest one was probably an advanced hidden fisher. However, that was pure strength. Under the bombardment of the invincible fist intent, the opponent still had no power to fight back. But Han Fei felt tired. This meant that every time he punched, he had to unleash his power. Swish, swish, swish. Han Fei broke out of the encirclement, his figure flashed, and even his clones attacked. Han Fei shouted, "Do you know what? I don't want to fight." Under the terrifying pressure of gravity, for a moment, all the corpses around Han Fei fell to the ground. A group of unconscious corpses could do nothing but resist instinctively. Han Fei twisted his neck and wrists and walked forward step by step. Even he didn't notice that with every step he took, a touch of gold appeared in the footprints behind him, and his fearless momentum increased. Han Fei said as he walked, "If the so-called bone jar plane and the boneyard only have such little power, how can they stop so many people?" Suddenly, a cold voice sounded, "What you're doing is wrong." Han Fei suddenly found that the law of gravity failed. This made him frown. He wanted to use the law of gravity again, but it didn't work. Deprived? Han Fei sneered. So what if I don't have the power of law? Stop me with these corpses? The golden fist mark blasted out, smashing all the corpses along the way. Han Fei felt that the art of invincibility that hadn't been activated for a long time was loosened, and a picture emerged in his mind. No. Han Fei was surprised to find that the picture of the art of invincibility in his mind was that the strong master had experienced one bloody battle after another. It was very similar to his current situation. Everywhere he looked, there were enemies. If he continued to fight like this, there was almost no end. Where was Yi Baiyu? Han Fei didn't know. If he walked to the bone jar plane, was Yi Baiyu not there? Did he have a sea token? Han Fei absolutely couldn't believe it. Then, there was only one answer. Different people would encounter different scenes after walking up the step. He was fighting in the bone jar plane, and the others were probably in another scene. Han Fei didn't know what he was fighting. Fighting corpses? What was his purpose? What was the point of coming here? 3 hours later, Han Fei began to stuff energy fruits into his mouth. However, the corpses rushing at him from all directions didn't decrease at all, as if they were endless. 1 day later, Han Fei felt that his arms were sore and his reaction ability was no longer so fast. There were already many corpses that could bombard him. However, in front of the indestructible body, even if he didn't move and let them bombard him, it seemed that they couldn't kill him. Then why should he still fight? Han Fei didn't know why, but he suddenly lowered his hands and let the terrifying power of those corpses hit him. 1 punch, 2 punches, 100 punches, 1,000 punches. Han Fei was bombarded to the ground. Suddenly, he saw the footprints he left. He couldn't help wondering why there was a faint golden color on the footprints. If he didn't pay attention, he wouldn't have found it at all. Bam! He knocked away the group of people who were bombarding him and blasted an invincible fist mark in the direction he came from, clearing the obstacles. Han Fei found that there were footprints under his feet, and there was golden light in each step. Road. Han Fei suddenly thought of something. Is this my road? No way. What does this mean? My road can't be fighting all the way, right? Before, when he was in the abyssal chasm, he seemed to have seen his own road. That road was very narrow, and there were endless sea creatures attacking him. As for the current road, he could only numbly punch, and punch again. Is my road like this? At this time, Han Fei had forgotten that he was fighting. He subconsciously punched and moved forward. He was thinking in his mind, what road am I walking on? It was said that after becoming a hidden fisher, every step was like a meteorite, and it was true. From the growth of strength, it could be seen that every step was like a meteorite. But for a long time, he had been a little confused about his own road. From the first combat skill he learned at the beginning to using knives, fists, bows, footwork, seals, and even swords, there were so many things he knew that he sometimes forgot them. When he first became a hidden fisher, Han Fei felt that he should learn as much as possible. Then, he should find a way to integrate them. Then, like Zhang Xuanyu, he should walk his own road. Han Fei believed that if Zhang Xuanyu climbed these steps, it would be very easy for him to go straight to the end and reach the top. But Zhang Xuanyu didn't have his luck. Although he specialized in rod techniques and had walked his own path when he was a fishing master, he was not as lucky as Han Fei. But because his luck was not as good as Han Fei's, he couldn't compete for it. Since he was so lucky, why was it so hard to choose a path? He wanted to create a combat skill of his own, such as choosing a knife. He was most familiar with this and could use it easily. But how could a combat skill be a path? Han Fei thought of the cosmic sword again. In fact, he should have refined this sword a long time ago. However, for some reason, every time he thought of this, he wanted to delay it, and it had been delayed until now. Was it because he didn't want to refine it? After all, it was an ultra-quality divine weapon. Why didn't he want to refine it? Han Fei suddenly found that it seemed that he had been instinctively resisting it. Han Fei subconsciously punched, smashing a corpse into pieces, and murmured, "Is it a fist? Embarking on the road of invincibility, this is a path in itself, right?" No, a fist technique is also a kind of combat skill. Why is the art of invincibility a fist technique? Suddenly, those pictures in Han Fei's mind suddenly stopped. Han Fei subconsciously stopped, and at this moment, he forgot that there were still corpses around him, but strangely, those corpses didn't attack him. Yes. Why is the art of invincibility a fist technique? This is that person's path. He opened the road of invincibility with his fist technique. But the fist technique is his fist technique. Invincibility is invincibility without any combat skills. Suddenly, Han Fei suddenly raised his head. Invincibility is invincibility. What does it have to do with techniques? I am invincible. The blood-drinking knife appeared in Han Fei's hand and he slashed it casually. A golden knife mark swept past, and all the corpses were broken. Han Fei took out the golden seal again. The golden light was dazzling, and there was no obstacle ahead. Han Fei even pulled out the cosmic sword and stabbed it, and the golden sword's shadow traversed more than a kilometer. The stick technique was still the same. Han Fei raised his head, and the momentum of his body was increasing crazily. Invincibility is just pure invincibility. Because of me, I am invincible no matter what I use. Because of me, I am invincible. Crack. With a crisp sound, the scene in front of Han Fei suddenly changed, and he returned to the top of the steps. However, at this moment, he was standing in the middle of the step. Looking down, he could see Ren Tianfei's fake corpse in the distance. Looking up, the road ahead was bright, and there were no more obstacles. Han Fei smiled slightly. Invincibility is not a technique. I am invincible. No matter what I use, I am invincible. In an instant, the traces of the art of invincibility in Han Fei's mind disappeared. He had instantly mastered the art of invincibility. It could be said that the art of invincibility had disappeared. And this time, Han Fei felt that all aspects of himself had been strengthened again. That was the enlightenment of the realm. The enlightenment of the realm made him stronger in all aspects. In terms of strength alone, Han Fei clenched his fists, which were probably 8 million kilograms. Han Fei walked up the steps step by step, no longer blocked, and soon reached the top. And at this moment, Han Fei saw a person, Yi Baiyu. Chapter 932. The moment he saw Yi Baiyu, Han Fei knew why. Yi Baiyu pursued speed, and the Yi family of the Thousand-Star City pursued speed. Their path was there. Therefore, when Han Fei came in, he didn't see Yi Baiyu. Because he knew what his path was, and he could reach the top directly. At this moment, Han Fei probably understood why so many people under the Empyrean waterfall came here. They were here to find their way to become a law enforcer. However, Han Fei didn't know how many people in the Empyrean waterfall had sea tokens. If they didn't have sea tokens, they wouldn't be able to see these 10,000 steps, so they wouldn't be able to set foot on their own path. At this moment, Han Fei's mind was clearer than ever. He was going to embark on a path of invincibility, no matter who was ahead of him, no matter whether others were stronger than him or not. He was invincible. He was invincible now and in the future. At this moment, the barrier of becoming a law enforcer had been broken, which meant that as long as his realm was high enough, he would definitely become a law enforcer. Of course, this didn't mean that Han Fei was invincible and had no opponent. But in his spiritual world, he was already invincible. On the basis of self-invincibility, what he should do and what he should learn was completely up to him. As for the specific method he would follow, Han Fei already had a feasible method. But should he follow this method or not? He still had to consider it. Yi Baiyu looked back at Han Fei and said in surprise, "You're up?" Han Fei grinned. "I'm up." Yi Baiyu took a deep breath. "You found your way so quickly? You are really a genius. I don't think we are enemies. What do you think?" Han Fei's lips curled. "Why not? Don't you want to grab the sea-quelling painting from me?" Yi Baiyu said, "Grabbing the painting has nothing to do with enemies, right? Whoever grabs it owns it. If there's no direct hostility, then we are not enemies." Han Fei sneered. "In this place, whoever grabs my painting is my enemy. Even if God comes and sees the painting, he will have to put it down." Yi Baiyu frowned. "Han Fei, you are too domineering, aren't you?" Han Fei smiled. "Am I domineering?" Yi Baiyu said angrily. "Aren't you domineering?" The sea-quelling painting belonged to the fated. Everyone relies on their own abilities. Do you think that if I snatch it, I have to obediently give it to you? Han Fei laughed. "First of all, I don't think you have a chance to grab it. Secondly, even if you manage to snatch it, you'll have to put it down when I tell you to." Yi Baiyu was furious. "Han Fei, do you know what you are talking about? You're going against the entire Thousand-Star City. Han Fei said disdainfully. We have been enemies for a long time. Those who steal my paintings are all my enemies. Han Fei raised his head and looked at the temple-like building. In front of the building, there was a transparent barrier. Han Fei said lightly, You came so early. Haven't you gone in yet? Looks like we can't go in? Yi Baiyu stepped aside as if facing a formidable enemy. Han Fei, I've already tried it. If one wanted to enter this place, one would need a sufficient number of sea tokens. I'm afraid we won't be able to enter for the time being. Han Fei said with a smile, Since I can't get in, why don't you give me the sea token and I'll go in? Yi Baiyu also smiled. I knew someone would snatch it. My sea token has been taken back. This should be a trick played by the designer at the beginning so that no one could get the sea token alone. If you don't believe me, you can take out the sea token and have a look. Han Fei frowned slightly and flipped his hand, and a sea token appeared in his hand. The sea token trembled slightly, flew up from Han Fei's hand, and sank into the barrier. Han Fei didn't expect that Yi Baiyu would be one step ahead of him and hand over the sea token in advance. Han Fei wasn't sure if the first one to hand over the sea token was considered to have taken the lead. But it would arouse people's speculation. Han Fei couldn't help looking at Yi Baiyu. How many sea tokens do you have? Yi Baiyu was taken aback for a moment. Of course one. The sea token is extremely rare. It's already very lucky to get one. What do you mean? Han Fei smiled slightly. That's good. Then I'm lucky. Han Fei was relieved that Yi Baiyu only had one sea token. Although he was the first one to come, he didn't have many sea tokens. Han Fei flipped his hand again, and 2 more sea tokens appeared, flying towards the barrier. Seeing this scene, Yi Baiyu's eyes widened. You have 3? Han Fei grinned and looked at Yi Baiyu meaningfully. Can't I? Now, give me a reason not to drive you away. Either you walk down these steps or I will send you down. Or I will send you down. Yi Baiyu's eyes flashed. Han Fei, don't go too far. In terms of strength, I am not as good as you, but are you faster than me? Han Fei grinned. Let's see. The moment he said these 2 words, Han Fei didn't even spread the phantom glass wings and his figure flashed like a phantom. His speed was so fast that even Yi Baiyu's heart trembled. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Baiyu shuttled like a white light, and Han Fei followed him like a shadow. After running for several minutes, Han Fei frowned slightly. Comprehending the invincible realm was one thing. Although his footwork had been greatly improved, and he had also mastered the 64-dimensional fish dragon dance, there was still a big gap between him and this guy. However, Han Fei didn't panic. He activated the Overlord's technique and his speed soared up with a swish. As Han Fei grabbed with one hand, he almost caught Yi Baiyu. Seeing that Han Fei's speed had soared so much, the latter was shocked and used a secret method to double his speed again. Yi Baiyu shouted, Han Fei, although I don't know why your speed has become so fast, don't forget that the Yi family is famous for its speed. You can't catch me. Han Fei frowned slightly and suddenly stopped. He felt that there was something wrong with the Overlord's technique. Han Fei frowned slightly and suddenly stopped. He felt that there was something wrong with the Overlord's technique. Ignoring Yi Baiyu, Han Fei scanned in his mind and was surprised to find that the speed increase of the Overlord's technique had dropped from 8 times to 7 times. Did it fall? Phew. The Overlord's technique improves according to the strength of the user. Before, I didn't comprehend the invincible realm, so I was much weaker than now. But this time, did I improve too much, causing my strength to increase and the power of the Overlord's technique to weaken? Yes, that must be it. After all, the Overlord's technique is only a heaven-level, mid-quality secret method. Before, I didn't want to improve my strength too much. An increase of 8 times is just right and can meet the energy consumption. As for now, the energy consumption is the same as before. In the final analysis, it's because I've become stronger. However, Han Fei sneered. The deduction of the heaven level, mid-quality overlord's technique only required 30 million points of spiritual energy, which was enough for him. He didn't panic at all. Seeing that Han Fei stopped chasing, Yi Baiyu immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He thought that Han Fei stopped because he found that his speed couldn't keep up with him. However, he was panicking just now. Han Fei's strength was so strong that he was probably a crane in a flock of chickens in his generation. He probably couldn't be suppressed anymore. Besides, Han Fei's peak speed just now was 60% of his. Wasn't this a bit too exaggerated? When he was on the steps into the sea, if he wanted to, his peak speed could be more than 10 times faster than Han Fei. Han Fei stood still and said in his heart, "Deduce." Yi Baiyu frowned and found that Han Fei's spiritual energy fluctuations were very strong, surging like a tide. He immediately tensed up. Does Han Fei still have a secret method? Han Fei even tilted his head and glanced at him. That mysterious smile made him a little speechless, and he didn't dare to neglect it. In fact, Han Fei had already realized that Yi Baiyu was no longer his opponent. He couldn't catch up with him because his basic speed was not as fast as him. However, he still had the agility of wind. Once he activated the Overlord's technique and the agility of wind, it was not impossible to catch Yi Baiyu. The only thing that Yi Baiyu was good at was his star-shifting technique. However, if it was controlled by him, no matter what technique it would be useless. After a while, the Overlord's technique was deduced, and new information emerged in his mind. Demon change, heaven level, divine quality. Note: a secret method of eating spirit created by the Overlord Black Tortoise Armor Art. It uses huge energy as a sacrifice to summon the demon Overlord. In a short period of time, its combat power will be increased several times according to the level of the caster. Current improvement: 10 times disadvantage. The stronger the improvement, the more energy will be consumed. Once the energy is consumed too much, the body's potential will be overdrawn. Deduced art. Unknown deduction consumption. 0/100 million. When Han Fei saw the new method of demon change, he couldn't help but be stunned. How did the Overlord's technique evolve into a demon? It wasn't that Han Fei didn't like the name demon change, but the name sounded a bit weird, as if the guy who once created this method had been demonized. However, Han Fei didn't care about this. When he saw the figure of 10 times increase, he was overwhelmed with emotions. If he could exert 10 times his strength with his current strength, he would definitely be able to do so. Even if he encountered the green wandering flood dragon again, it seemed that he could give it a try. Although he would still be much weaker with the invincible heart, at least he wouldn't be chased like before. After a long time, Han Fei grinned. "Again, do you want to go down by yourself, or do you want me to ask you to go down?" Yi Baiyu frowned. "Han Fei, why do you have to make our relationship so awkward? Besides, you can't catch me. If you want to beat me, beat someone else." Activating the demon change, Han Fei felt that his blood was swelling and a terrifying power fell on him. At the same time, he was a little irritable and seemed to be on the verge of exploding. Han Fei disappeared and his speed soared, which shocked Yi Baiyu. At that moment, Yi Baiyu activated all his secret methods, but he was surprised to find that Han Fei's speed was much faster than just now. If this went on, it would be a competition of who could persist longer. For a time, in front of the temple, 2 shadows flickered. Because the speed was too fast, it seemed that there was no one here at all. After a while, Han Fei saw that Yi Baiyu's breath was a little unstable, which should be because he didn't have enough spiritual energy. Immediately, he gave a low roar and exerted his speed to the extreme. Bam! Just when Han Fei was about to catch Yi Baiyu, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck down from nowhere, directly freezing Han Fei's body. Yi Baiyu was scared out of his wits. This bastard, how can he be so fast? It's impossible. No one can be faster than the Yi family. This had almost become the rule of the 1,000-star city, But today this rule was almost broken by Han Fei. If it weren't for the sudden appearance of this lightning, Yi Baiyu felt that he would be caught again. Han Fei had long been used to the power of lightning. At this moment, after being bombarded, his breath was a little chaotic. In his flesh and blood electric arcs flashed. It was not unbearable. However, he couldn't catch Yi Baiyu in this way. Yi Baiyu said, "Han Fei, it seems that private fighting is not allowed here." "Humph. Then try again." After a while, when Han Fei was about to catch Yi Baiyu with the void lines, another bolt of lightning fell. This made him very speechless. What AF** King rule? Yi Baiyu recovered from the fright again and immediately laughed. "Ah! It seems that I am destined to be here. Han Fei, come and hit me again. I won't run away. Come on." Han Fei curled his lips. "Let's see how long you can laugh." Chapter 933. The temple glowed blue and the water rippled. Han Fei tried to press his hand on the barrier, only to find that the barrier was extremely soft and had no power to fight back. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't go any further. On the steps, looking down, Han Fei could vaguely see a black spot, which should be Ren Tianfen's fake body. Han Fei said, "When you came up, did the person sitting on the steps stop you?" Yi Baiyu wondered, "What do you mean by a person sitting on the steps? Did you meet someone when you came in?" Han Fei's eyes suddenly narrowed. "What do you mean?" Han Fei said again, "When you climbed the steps, didn't you see a skeleton on the steps?" Yi Baiyu knew that he couldn't do anything to Han Fei, and Han Fei couldn't do anything to him, so he said casually, "Where did the skeleton come from?" "Except for the steps, there are only steps. Did you see someone?" "Ha! Perhaps you've been targeted by some living creature here?" Han Fei frowned. How could there be no one? Wasn't Ren Tianfen sitting there? He could still see a black spot. Was he hallucinating? "No, Yi Baiyu doesn't have to lie to me. That is to say, different people see different steps." Han Fei said, "What can you see from here?" Yi Baiyu said, "Steps. The steps are like a road." Yi Baiyu was attracted by Han Fei's topic and couldn't help saying, "Are you worried that what we see is different? In fact, this is just the foreplay. If you can't even go up, you won't be qualified to grab the sea-quelling painting." Han Fei sat on the steps motionless, ignoring Yi Baiyu. If Ren Tianfen didn't exist, why did he see him? Or did he actually exist, but Yi Baiyu couldn't see him? Han Fei took out his fishing rod. Anyway, the steps were not far away. In this case, he might as well hook Ren Tianfen's fake body over. However, when he cast the rod, Han Fei found that his fishing line couldn't fly out at all. "Can't go down?" Yi Baiyu was also surprised. "Can't go down? It seems that we have to wait for someone." Han Fei was a little speechless. He didn't know what was the point of fighting for the second place. If he had known that he would have to wait for everyone to arrive, he might as well have snatched more resources from the outside world and obtained more benefit. Was there anything good in Sky City? Since there were all kinds of strange creatures here, there must be some extraordinary things here as well. Needless to say, treasures. However, he had been so focused on finding the sea-quelling painting that he spent almost all his time on the road. He didn't have the freedom to explore it. He could only see if he could search every corner of the Sky City after he grabbed the sea-quelling painting. He waited for an entire day. The day and night here were almost the same as the outside world. At this moment, the bright moon hung high in the sky, and the stars twinkled, creating a beautiful scene. It was also at this moment that a person appeared. He suddenly appeared on the top of the 10,000 step. 12. Han Fei couldn't help but be surprised. He always felt that Chao Qiu and Chao Tian would appear next. But now it seemed that Yushire's speed was so fast that he was second only to him. Yushire was overjoyed to see Han Fei. "Han Fei, you're so fast?" Yi Baiyu snorted. "I'm faster." Yushire glanced at Yi Baiyu and shook his head slightly. "I don't know you." Yushire's appearance let Han Fei know that this guy was definitely not that simple. Just that mountain alone, he had flown over directly. How did Yushire get here? Did he also fly over? Why didn't he get picked up by the big bird in the sky? Han Fei had a good impression of Yushire. Han Fei didn't know how strong he was, but he was honest and upright, so he was trustworthy. Han Fei said, "Shire, don't you see anyone else?" Yushire said, "Nameless is with me. He should be here soon." Han Fei pondered. It shouldn't be difficult for Nameless to master the sword art. But, Shire, I'm really curious about your cultivation path. Yushire smiled innocently and didn't answer. It was normal that he didn't say anything. Han Fei didn't intend to ask but said, "Okay. Since Nameless is coming, let's have a hot pot." Yi Baiyu couldn't help licking his lips. He had tasted Han Fei's cooking. However, before he spoke, Han Fei said, "I'm not familiar with you. Don't come here." About half an hour later, when the cauldron was boiling and the fragrance spread, another figure appeared on the steps. Nameless saw Han Fei and Yushire at a glance. He was slightly surprised, but then he walked over and sat down without saying a word. In his opinion, it was normal for Han Fei and Yushire to come here. He was well aware of everyone's strength. Han Fei glanced at Nameless and handed him a pair of chopsticks. "I've been waiting for you for a long time. Let's eat." Nameless said lightly, "Wait for Qing Chen. He should be here soon." Han Fei was stunned. "Qing Chen? Is this bastard so awesome? Is he fifth?" As soon as he said so, Qing Chen had already appeared on the step. Seeing Han Fei and the others, he immediately shouted, "Thank you, Sea God. Brother Han, I didn't expect you to have cooked as soon as I came in. Come on, let's add someone, add someone." Han Fei said helplessly, "Don't tell me there are still people behind you. I don't want to wait." Qing Chen was taken aback. "What does it have to do with me? I didn't know there were people behind me. Wow, it smells so good. I won't be polite." In the blink of an eye, 4 people from the Empyrean waterfall had come. This scene dumbfounded Yi Baiyu. Are the people from the Empyrean waterfall so strong? Why do they come in groups? As soon as Han Fei picked up a piece of fish, he saw a blue light fly past and directly disappear into the spiritual barrier. Han Fei had seen this scene before. This was the scene when the sea tokens entered the spiritual barrier. But no one appeared on the steps. This meant that someone failed. Nameless said, "Sea tokens?" Han Fei put the fish into his mouth and chewed it. "Yes, it seems that someone failed." Nameless and the other 2 took out the sea tokens at the same time, and then the sea tokens turned into blue light and disappeared into the spiritual barrier. Qing Chen smiled and said, "No wonder you are waiting here. Turns out that you have to wait for all the sea tokens." Yi Baiyu complained. Seeing Han Fei and the others talking and laughing, he couldn't help but snort. "Han Fei, didn't you say that all the people coming here are enemies? Why are you eating with your enemies?" However, Qing Chen and the other 2 didn't care, especially Qing Chen, who was eating happily and asked, "Who is this?" Han Fei said with a smile, "The Yi family from the 1,000-star city." Qing Chen couldn't help but laugh. "The family that ran away the fastest? TSK, how can they come here?" Yi Baiyu was immediately angry. "What are you talking about?" Wu Ming glanced at them and said, "He's right. Last time, a member of the Yi family challenged me, but he couldn't even take one sword strike from me. It was really embarrassing." Yi Baiyu's face turned green with anger. "Who are you kidding? Can your sword catch up with my speed?" Han Fei said, "Come on, Yi Baiyu, don't stir up trouble here." "That's what I said. The 3 of them are all my enemies. One by one, one by one. But what's wrong with me eating with my enemies? Did I eat your yellow croaker?" Qing Chen chuckled. "Yes, did I eat your yellow croaker?" At this moment, another person had arrived. However, this time, Han Fei saw Chao Jiren. Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly. Didn't the Chao family bet on Chao Chiu? Why did Chao Jiren arrive first? Chao Jiren frowned and glanced at Yi Baiyu again. However, she didn't respond. She just walked aside and sat cross-legged. After all, Han Fei arrived almost 1 day earlier than them, nearly 6 hours earlier. So, at midnight, people arrived one after another. Yui, Ning Jingyao, Li Luoluo, Wang Dashuai. When Wang Dashuai saw Han Fei's group of people, he immediately smiled. Little junior brother, why are you so fast? Han Fei glanced at Wang Dashuai and asked, Where is my sister-in-law? Where are senior brother Chu and senior sister Mu? Have you seen Tangge? Wang Dashuai said, Your sister-in-law doesn't have a token, so she can't come up. Lin Yuan didn't see her, but he should come. By the way, Tangge shouldn't come. His little wife gave me the C token. At this moment, swish, a ray of blue light sank into the spiritual barrier, but no one came up the stairs. This was the 6th time Han Fei had seen such a scene, which meant that there were 6 fewer competitors. Han Fei was surprised. Did you say that Mu Ling gave you the C token? Why? Wang Dashuai smiled. She said she didn't want to compete with you, so she gave it to me. I didn't see you either, so I brought it up. Han Fei smiled. Tang Ji's wife is not bad. When the morning sun first shone, there were as many as 60 people here. Among them, 12 had failed. It could be seen that there were many talented people in this group. There were more than 20 people in the Empyrean waterfall alone. This made Han Fei a little speechless. The people in the Empyrean waterfall were really talented. There were more than 10 people who were familiar with Han Fei, but now they had all become his opponents, which made Han Fei feel a little helpless. When the 82nd person came up, it was Chao Chiu. Han Fei couldn't help but be surprised. I underestimated Chao Chiu. This guy has found his own path. Isn't he focused on being a great inventor? Is his path to invention? Of course, Han Fei knew this was impossible. The fact that Chao Chiu could come up showed that he was very talented and not timid like he usually was. Han Fei really had to be more careful. However, at this moment there was only one person left. Of the 99 C tokens, a total of 16 flew over automatically. At this moment 82 people came, but only one person was left. Just after Chao Chiu, a person appeared on the stairs. When he saw this person, Han Fei's heart trembled. F***CK. Stop it. Han Fei's eyes flickered. This person seems to be the young Ren Tianfei. At this moment, this person also glanced at Han Fei with an ambiguous meaning. But Han Fei was 100% sure that this guy was Ren Tianfei. No doubt about it. He was not hallucinating. This old guy was the dummy sitting on the first floor. At this moment, he somehow came up. And he looked exactly like a real person. Chapter 934. Little junior brother, what's wrong with you? Is there anything wrong with that person? Chu Linyuan had already come up. However, Mu Qingchuan didn't have a C token, so he didn't come up. And the purpose of Chu Linyuan and Wang Dashuai was nothing more than to protect Han Fei. Han Fei shook his head. No problem. We just need to wait for the barrier to open. Everyone looked at Ren Tianfei, because he was the only one left. But some people couldn't help but be curious. They had never seen this person before. Someone said, Do you know this guy? Which group is he from? Someone shook his head. None of them. Maybe he's from the Empyrean waterfall. The people from the Empyrean waterfall were also surprised. Li Luolua's eyes widened. Hey! I feel that this person seems to be very powerful. Why is he the last one to come up? Yui smiled faintly. No one saw him coming up first. He's the last one to come up. Chu Linyuan said, Little junior brother, remember, from now on be careful everywhere. Even if it's me and Dashuai, once you find something wrong with us, don't have any contact with us. If necessary, you may even treat us as enemies. Han Fei frowned. Is it necessary? Chu Linyuan said seriously, It has to be. There are some things I didn't tell you before because I didn't want you to know, lest our thinking limit you. In fact, the sea-quelling painting is not only a painting, but also dangerous in the normal sense. You'll know when you see it. Han Fei couldn't help but wonder, are you serious? Chu Linyuan nodded. Very serious. Han Fei nodded secretly. Okay, I see. Since Chu Linyuan had said this, he couldn't ignore it. No matter what the secret of the sea-quelling painting was, he just had to deal with it. When everyone looked at Ren Tianfei, he chuckled. If you want me to take out my sea token, it's easy. I smashed my sea-swallowing seashell on the way here. Now I want 10,000 caddies of spiritual spring, 10,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid, a low-quality divine battlesuit, a low-quality divine long rod, 10,000 high-quality spiritual stones, 1,000 energy fruits and spiritual energy fruits each. Okay, that's it. Someone was dumbfounded. Could it be that this idiot came from somewhere? He lost his things and asked us for them? Do you think we're stupid and rich? A sect disciple shouted, Are you crazy? Why should we give it to you? Yang Diyu said angrily, Where did this lunatic come from? If I don't give it to you, what else can I do? For a moment, everyone exploded. They had never seen such a thick-skinned person. Only Han Fei understood the reason almost instantly. When he came, it was not that Ren Tianfei didn't know he was here, but that he was faking his death. Because he had nothing on him, he sat there until the end. Han Fei was sure that the last person who came was defeated by Ren Tianfei. Maybe he had already been killed by Ren Tianfei. He snatched the sea token and was the last to come up. Because of the restrictions here, others couldn't attack him, so they couldn't force him. Therefore, he could do whatever he wanted. God's logic. Even Han Fei was shocked. In terms of tricks, Ren Tianfei was truly ruthless. Why didn't I think of that? If it were him, he would definitely demand an exorbitant price and give them whatever they wanted. But Han Fei didn't understand why Ren Tianfei didn't ask for it in the first place. Ren Tianfei chuckled and said, Then I won't take out the sea token. Come and bite me. In any case, without this one, you guys can't do anything. You can only wait here. I don't care. I can wait until you die. I'll chop you up. Yang Diyu jumped up and slashed at Ren Tianfei with his axe. At this moment, Ren Tianfei stretched out a finger and picked his ear, his face full of disdain. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck down, directly striking Yang Diyu to the ground. Ren Tianfei chuckled. Hey! Why are you so polite? Nephew, you're too polite, aren't you? Puff! Han Fei couldn't help but be amused. He said to Ren Tianfei via voice transmission, Why not? Ren Tianfei didn't even look at Han Fei, but a voice sounded from the bottom of Han Fei's heart, Idiot, do you think others can't hear your voice transmission? It's useless to ask for more. There's everything in the sea-quelling painting. Han Fei. For a moment, several people looked at Han Fei. However, they didn't make a sound, and no one knew what they were thinking. Han Fei threw out 1,000 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid and said, Look at you. Descendants of big clans and disciples of sects? Do you have to be so greedy? You can just give me some, right? Do you think you're funding the enemy with such a small amount? Ren Tianfei stretched out his hand, took the ball of spirit awakening fluid, and swallowed it like a cow drinking water. Look, there are still some sensible people. What do the others say? Ren Tianfei said lazily, I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. After 10 seconds, the price will be doubled. For a moment, most people looked gloomy and wanted to kill Ren Tianfei. But as soon as the lightning appeared, they remembered the damn rules. If Ren Tianfei didn't take out his sea token, the others couldn't do anything to him. Suddenly, Gong Yuehan said, I offer 5,000 kilograms of spiritual spring. Suddenly, someone realized that the person who offered the resources first could easily fool others. Who would give away a divine weapon so casually? Chao Jiren said, I also offer 5,000 kilograms of spiritual spring. Sun Mu added, 500 spiritual energy fruits. Zhang Wen was about to bid for spiritual spring, but Chao Jiaran stopped him, so he immediately changed the subject. I offer 2,000 high-quality spiritual stones. Immediately, some people started shouting at the same time. I offer 1,000 high-quality spiritual stones. I offer 300 energy fruits. I offer 300 spiritual energy fruit. In the end, when it came to the low-quality divine weapon, everyone looked at Zhang Wen. Zhang Wen was speechless. Why are you looking at me? I've offered 2,000 high-quality spiritual stones. Li Hai said, Brother Zhang, capable people do more work. Your family is rich. You can do it. Li Baizhou echoed, Yes, Brother Zhang, don't be stingy. Zhang Wen's face was all black, and finally he gritted his teeth and said, Let me do it. Suddenly, Ren Tianfei pointed to Chao Tian and said, Who's that? Hey, it's you. Give me your glove. I don't want your rod. Chao Tian frowned and said with a silly smile, Do you know me? Ren Tianfei chuckled. The Chao family. Only the Chao family and the Chen family practice boxing in the Thousand-Star City. I guess you are from the Chao family. Do you want to give it to me or not? That was what Han Fei told Ren Tianfei. Let's trick him as much as we can. Chao Tian put away his simple and honest face, stretched out his hands, and threw the glove to Ren Tianfei. The latter took it indifferently and wiped it with his hand, and Chao Tian's soul mark disappeared directly. Seeing this, many people's pupils shrank. This is a strong man. Ren Tianfei's net worth immediately soared. Han Fei couldn't help but admire him. Ren Tianfei's robbery was unparalleled in history and would never be repeated in the future. He even forced others to rush to give him things. No, I must learn this trick and save it to cheat others in the future. After receiving all the things, in the midst of everyone's anger, Ren Tianfei reached into his chest and took out a sea token. Then he turned into a blue light and rushed into the spiritual barrier. Chu Linyuan said to Han Fei via voice transmission, Little junior brother, be careful of this person. He is too calculative. Han Fei thought to himself, if I say this guy is a venerable, I'm afraid you will be scared to death. He heard from old Han that Ren Tianfei used to be a venerable and was very powerful. Later, he was beaten to a pulp by someone. The person in front of him was a hidden fisher, but Han Fei absolutely didn't believe it. Ren Tianfei had made this dummy sit here for decades, or even hundreds of years. How could it be an ordinary dummy? Hum, 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 the water barrier began to ripple, and the barrier began to disappear. Immediately, with a flash of light and shadow, Yi Baiyu had already pushed open the door of the temple. However, as soon as he pushed, Yi Baiyu was sent flying back, and the terrifying force directly knocked him back. At this time, a scroll slowly flew out of the door and floated in the air. Someone was overjoyed. The sea-quelling painting. Yang Diyu jumped up and reached out to grab it. Chen Aochen punched the air, and Emo Fian's long whip rolled out. At a time, more than 20 people took action. Boom, 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 bolts of lightning struck down, and all these people stiffened and fell directly to the ground. Han Fei smiled contemptuously. A bunch of idiot. If the sea-quelling painting could be obtained so easily, they wouldn't have to come here with so much effort. Someone shouted, Everyone, now is not the time to grab the painting. Let's wait and see. Yang Diyu cursed, Son of AB*TCH, how dare you attack me? What's so great about a sea-quelling bizarre treasure? Han Fei said leisurely, A sea-quelling bizarre treasure is indeed great. Why don't you tear it apart? Yang Diyu glanced at Han Fei. Humph. Han Fei, you have offended a lot of people here. Don't be arrogant. I can still fight with you for 500 rounds. Han Fei smiled contemptuously. Forget it. Don't you know how to brag nowadays? Yang Diyu snorted, thinking, sooner or later, I'll kill you. In the air. The scroll was opened and the gap was slightly exposed. Golden brilliance overflowed. Above the sky, the clouds dissipated. The scroll was 3 meters long, and at this moment, it was unfolded inch by inch. After the golden light, Han Fei saw stretching mountains, surging rivers, surging seas, flowers, birds, fish, insects, birds, and beasts, and the painting was still unfolding. Everyone saw a floating island with a strange shape and protruding corners, with buildings and pedestrians on it. The upper half of the sea-quelling painting was densely covered with starry sky. When Han Fei saw the starry sky, he immediately felt that something was wrong. By rights, the stars in the painting should be unpredictable and the positions of the stars were unclear. But in the painting, from the perspective of an array master, Han Fei saw 28 constellations, 36 star positions, a vast galaxy, and many seemingly messy but actually regular constellations. In the painting, there was almost everything: mountains, rivers, forests, seas of fire. It was hard to imagine how so many mysteries could be gathered in a painting. It was impossible to draw them all. However, everything in this painting was extremely harmonious. It was like a divine painting of the country and state. Han Fei took a breath. He understood. The sea token was the key to open the sea-quelling painting. The key opened the door, and all living beings entered the painting. Chapter 935. Everyone was stunned. They all lived above the ocean, and had never seen such a picture on the floating island. The Boorish Jai Shun from the Mountain Sea Pavilion said, "Just from the wonders of this painting, I know it's extraordinary." Chu Sun of the Grand Void Academy sneered. "Nonsense. If it's not magical, why should we come here?" Next to Han Fei, Qing Chun clicked his tongue. "It seems that the more beautiful something is, the more dangerous it is. This is absolutely true." Han Fei nodded slightly. "Great minds think alike. Why don't you give up? I'll help you take the risk." Qing Chen. Chu Linyuan sighed. "It's not good to be too grand. This shows that the world in the painting is very big." Li Luoluo said, "Yes. This painting itself is a treasure. It's already here. How can we take it?" Yui smiled and said, "Haven't you seen it yet? It's not how to take it, but we can't even lift this painting now. We have to go into the painting and find something that can control this painting." Wu Ming pointed to a mountain peak and said, "This mountain is very magical." Ning Jingyao scratched his head and said, "Why is there no knife-like mountain peak?" Everyone was looking at the painting, and Han Fei was no exception. But what he was looking at was different from the others. The star map he saw was weird. The terrain of the star map was sky-bearing. There must be something strange about the star map. He tried to enter the star map with an array, but he felt it was a bit strange. In particular, what was the relationship between the floating island in the painting and the star map? Most people should be looking at the floating island. In most people's hearts, only when there was a gathering of people would there be treasures hidden in it. Almost everyone thought that the law enforcement of the painting was in the city. But Han Fei was puzzled. The problem here was definitely not just this city. He regarded this painting as the Mountain River painting. However, why was the Mountain River painting the sea-quelling painting? Suddenly, Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Was there a floating island a long time ago? At that time, the sea hadn't invaded and all living things coexisted. Where did the floating island come from? Mountains, rivers, land, floating island, star map, what's the relationship between them? Also, Han Fei looked at the edge of this painting, where the painting stopped, and the left and right sides were not complete. In other words, this painting only painted part of the place, right? Han Fei couldn't help but wonder if there were many sea-quelling paintings. Assuming that there were many sea-quelling paintings, wouldn't they be able to depict a grand world when all the sea-quelling paintings were depicted? But then Han Fei smiled. How can it be so easy? If this was only a part of it, it was already a sea-quelling bizarre treasure. If all of them were put together, wouldn't it be far more powerful than the sea-quelling bizarre treasure? Han Fei couldn't help looking at Ren Tianfei. He was still as lazy as ever, and he looked very casual. When he looked at the image again, the golden light was no longer flashing, and the image was fully displayed. The entire map was 3 meters wide and more than 20 meters long. At this moment, it fluttered in the wind like a jade edict descending from the heavens. Whoosh! A white shadow flashed, and it was Yi Baiyu again. This guy went straight into the painting. However, Yi Baiyu's figure seemed to have fallen into the water and disappeared in a flash. Immediately, someone shouted, "Not good, we can't let him seize the initiative." "Humph, the painting is mine, no one can steal it. Let's see who's luckier." Swish, swish, swish. People got into the painting one after another, including Wu Ming, Yui, Li Luoluo, and others around Han Fei. Almost in a moment, there were no more than 20 people left in front of the painting. The others had all entered the painting. Han Fei looked at Wang Dashui and Chu Linyuan and said, "Senior brother, I don't think we can be together after we go in. So, you can go in first." Chu Linyuan frowned and said, "Little junior brother, what if?" Han Fei shook his head. "There's no what if. Rather than saying that everyone is fighting for the painting, it's more like fighting for luck. Everyone's luck is different, so it's impossible for us to be together." Chu Linyuan pondered and said, "Okay, I'll go in with Dashui and help you explore the way." On the other side, the 3 members of the Chao family were still there. Chao Jiaran was staring at the painting in a daze, or thinking. After a while, another 7 or 8 people went in. Qing Chen nodded. "Fine, I'll go in first. Brother Han, take your time." Yu Shire scratched his head. "I don't understand." "Then I'll go in too." After a while, among the people left here, Sun Mu glanced at Han Fei lightly. "I'll wait for you inside." Mo Fian looked at Han Fei and snorted. "Don't bother me again." After a while, there were only 6 people left on the field. Han Fei, Ren Tianfei, the 3 members of the Chao family, and Gong Yuehan. Gong Yuehan came to Han Fei's side and asked, "What are you looking at?" Han Fei said leisurely, "I can't tell you what I'm looking at. The sea. You're full of water. You're a horse. You have 4 legs." Gong Yuehan was not stupid. Now she had the opportunity to see the whole picture, but what about after she went in? She was like a drop in the ocean. God knew where she should go. Han Fei ignored Gong Yuehan, leaned over to Ren Tianfei, and poked his arm. "You've been looking at the painting for a long time. Do you have any insights?" Ren Tianfei looked at Han Fei with a faint smile. "I have insights. You don't have a chance." Han Fei shrugged. "Maybe. What if you go the wrong way?" Humph. After half an hour, Gong Yuehan seemed to have found something, so she went into the painting. On the other side, Chao Chiu waved at Han Fei. "Han Fei, why don't you go in?" Han Fei chuckled. "I want to eat hot pot again." Chao Chiu nodded. "I'll go with you." Han Fei said again, "I don't want to eat again." Chao Jiaran had scanned the painting many times. She was sure that there was something wrong with the starry sky, but she couldn't find what the problem was. She was not an array master, but she felt that there seemed to be some inexplicable connection between the starry sky and the earth. Less than half an hour later, Chao Jiaran seemed to say something to Chao Chiu and Chao Tian. She turned her head and glanced at Han Fei and Ren Tianfei, saying lightly, "Let's go in." When only he and Ren Tianfei were left here, Han Fei stopped pretending. "Old guy, what does the star ranking mean? You've studied it for more than 300 years. Don't you know it?" Ren Tianfei bared his teeth and looked at Han Fei. "Do you know me?" Han Fei put a hand on Ren Tianfei's shoulder. "Old Ren, don't pretend. Do you know me? If you had the ability to use this painting, you would have used it a long time ago. Tell me, let's share our experience." Ren Tianfei clicked his tongue. "I didn't expect that I would find a disciple like you. What's the use of you if I tell you everything?" Han Fei sneered. "What's the use of me? I'm a sea pioneer. Alas, why are you so useless? I know that when the heavens give me a great responsibility, I will certainly suffer." Han Fei rambled on for a long time. "So, that floating island is not the 1,000-star city at all, right? The star ranking is weird and coincides with an array, but it's not an array I know. In other words, the mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas in this painting all correspond to the positions of the stars. If you want to control the sea-quelling painting, you can probably understand the star positions. But more than that, there are hidden things here. Ren Tianfei looked at Han Fei in surprise. You're smart. Tell me about it. Han Fei clicked his tongue. The painting is not important. What's important is the opportunity to become a king. So, it doesn't matter whether I can control this painting or not. There must be an item in this painting that has nothing to do with this painting. Ren Tianfei couldn't help but be more serious. It seems that you're not bad. Yes, compared to the opportunity to become a king, this painting is indeed not important. If you find the opportunity, why not give the painting to someone else? I thought about it for a long time before I came to this conclusion. I didn't expect that you would come to the same conclusion after such a short time. No wonder you could find my treasures. Han Fei chuckled. You flatter me. So, you've been visualizing for more than 300 years. What have you figured out? Ren Tianfei shook his head. I couldn't figure it out at first, but I'm sure that the thing must be very small and not too substantial. I even wondered if it was a drop of water in the vast ocean. However, in that case, I wouldn't be able to find it. So, after thinking about it for a long time, I still have to control this painting. Then, by controlling the power of this painting, I can eliminate the things that don't belong to this painting. Only in this way can I find that thing. Han Fei said angrily. But I still have to grab the painting first, don't I? Ren Tianfei chuckled. Otherwise, what else can I figure out? Han Fei said, the 5 elements in this painting are complete. Because they are complete, the thing must be outside the 5 elements. Suddenly, Han Fei thought of something. If it was outside the 5 elements, the only place left was the starry sky. But how could a human reach the starry sky? Ren Tianfei shook his head. Humans can't reach the starry sky. Even if that thing is above the starry sky, how can you take it? Han Fei thought it made sense. If it was really above the starry sky, how could he take it? Ren Tianfei pointed at a star on the way and said, Look, this star is hidden among the stars. If you don't pay attention, you won't notice its subtle changes at all. It can flicker. Every time it flickers, it will turn red. Han Fei's eyes changed. It can change colors? Ren Tianfei nodded. In a moment it will change colors. After about half an hour, about an hour before the painting was opened, Han Fei saw the star turn red and immediately took a breath. That's it. Ren Tianfei sneered. So what? The key is how to take it.